Chapter 1293. Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second Go/Little? I'll bring you a wonderful novel to read. After teleporting to the Qing Emperor's dynasty, Knight Sorrow went to the Qing Emperor's palace and gathered all the officials, princes, and the higher-ups of the army for a meeting. After everyone was present, Knight Sorrow glanced around. The celestial sect challenged us. In the past month, they've suffered some blows. We've vented our anger. Your Highness is mighty. Everyone in the hall bowed to Knight Sorrow. The next step is to defend. They suffered a loss, so naturally, they can't take it lying down. We're not afraid of an army battle. What we have to defend against is the other party's sneak attack tactics. It's the tactic I used when I went to the celestial sect, Knight Sorrow said. Junior brother, we've studied your tactics. Other than waiting and waiting, there's no other way, Qing Wan said. It's true that one move can dominate the world. I can do it, but they can't. There's nothing that can't be solved. Everything is relative. First of all, we have to avoid losses. All the monarchs of the Qing Emperor's dynasty are to go to the Qing Emperor's city to rest and cultivate. Even if they're the city lords, leave the work to their clones or subordinates. None of the monarchs can be killed. This is our foundation. In addition, the soldiers' expenses and training resources will be distributed for 3 years at a time. All the excess resources will be sent to the Qing Emperor's city. Your Highness, there's no problem with the first few things, but we don't have that many teleportation crystals for each city to set up more than 3 teleportation arrays. An official from the Merit Hall stood up and said, "How much do you lack?" Knight Sorrow asked. "More than half." The official's voice was a little low. "Continue to carry out this order. If you lack resources, go to the 9-story tower to find me. Whether it's borrowing, stealing, or robbing, I will protect the foundation that Master has built. Some of you may be bribed or controlled, but I'm not afraid. Tell Ling Tian that he can't afford to play the same tricks that I've played. I, Knight Sorrow, will go against him. I'm in the 9-story tower. If he has the guts, come and kill him. I can afford to lose a clone, but if I catch him, I'll kill him. It's much more stable than the average website. It's updated faster. It's all text and no advertisements." Knight Sorrow's words were powerful. Catch him and kill him. Yu Fei walked into the Qing Emperor's palace. "Greetings, Empress." Everyone bowed in greeting. "Mistress, please make the arrangements." Yi Shang took 2 steps out of the hall and bowed to Heavenly Monarch Yu Fei. "You've arranged it well. We'll do as you say. Also, listen up. When His Majesty is recuperating and Sandalwood is in seclusion, Knight Sorrow of the Qing Emperor's palace is the most important. His words are the Emperor's orders." Misty Rain looked at the group of officials and children. Everyone in the Qing Emperor's palace bowed again to accept the order. Forever. For a long time, free of charge, and read novels Knight Sorrow continue. Misty Rain stood beside Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow took out some teleportation crystals and handed them to Tan Lin. "Hurry up and set up the teleportation array. It must be done secretly. Also, tell the officials and core members of the Qing Emperor's palace to separate their clones from their original bodies. If a city is attacked, I want to know immediately. All right, everyone, hurry up." The officials left. Only Knight Sorrow, Summer City, Xiandaozi, Shangguanhong, Qing Lin, and Qing Wan were left. Qing Lin and Qing Wan were the commanders of the army. They were in charge of the war. The officials were in charge of the operation of the city. "Mother, do you want to come to my Qing Lin palace?" Qing Lin asked. "No. Mother has been living in the 9 grand floors recently." Misty Rain refused immediately. "Mistress, you should go to senior brother and senior sister's place." Knight Sorrow said. "You idiot. Ling Tian hates you to death now. He will definitely kill you if he has the chance. What if you get killed if I don't go to the 9 grand floors? Your master is in trouble. You are now the backbone of the Qing Emperor's palace. Sandalwood can't do that. Therefore, you can't be in trouble." Misty Rain scolded Knight Sorrow. "Junior brother Knight, I didn't think it through." Qing Lin looked at Knight Sorrow, who was embarrassed by Misty Rain's scolding. "But senior brother and senior sister's safety is more important." Knight Sorrow felt that he couldn't be above Qing Lin and Qing Wan. It wasn't appropriate. Ling Tian is not stupid. If he goes to assassinate others, it won't affect the situation. However, if something happens to you, it will be a fatal blow to the Qing Emperor's palace. You have shown your prowess in this month. No one can do better than you. Just like the arrangement just now, Qing Lin and Qing Wan can't make such comprehensive arrangements. If something happens to you, the Qing Emperor's palace will lose face. They will lose the core that can command the situation. Misty Rain looked at Night Sorrow seriously. Thank you, mistress. I understand. Also, I plan to go to the Red Emperor's kingdom and the Dark Abyss to talk to the Red Emperor and the Dark Lord. If I can find Ling Tian, will they help me? Can I kill Ling Tian in one go and cripple the Celestial Sect? Night Sorrow expressed his thoughts. Then mistress will go with you. Misty Rain said. No. I will go to talk. If mistress goes, it will be like we are asking for help. Mistress, you can't go. We will never be inferior to others. We don't do things that require help. Night Sorrow said. Haha. Well said. You have the same appearance and personality as your master. Then you can do as you see fit. Summer City. Follow Night Sorrow. Nothing can happen to you. Misty Rain nodded at Night Sorrow and looked at Summer City. Don't worry, Empress. Summer City bowed. You didn't call me that before. Why don't you call me sister-in-law? Misty Rain looked at Summer City and frowned. We haven't seen each other in many years. I'm a little nervous and not used to it. Summer City said. Sister-in-law, the two of us will go too. Xian Daozi glanced at Shangguan Hong and said. Shangguan Hong also nodded. Master, are you going too? Qing Lin asked, puzzled. If your highness has something to do, this subordinate will go back. I will be busy with His Highness Night Sorrow for a while. Shangguan Hong said. If you want to eat and drink with our highness, just say so. Summer City said. You guys are still arguing endlessly. Let's go. Yu Fei flung her sleeves at the two of them. Night Sorrow led the three people from Summer City to the Red Emperor's country through the teleportation array. He wanted to confirm the Red Emperor's attitude. In the Qing Emperor's palace, Misty Rain sat on the main throne. Qing Lin, Qing Wan, your father did the right thing. He really didn't care about anything. You guys can't shoulder this burden, but his disciple can. As your father, it's enough for me to see you guys safe and sound. Mother, I understand. I really understand. I admit defeat. Eldest senior brother's battle prowess is famous in the world. He can dominate a region. Youngest junior brother's cultivation is not high enough, but he has a strong view of the big picture. He can really strategize and decide victory from 1,000 miles away. He was able to solve a problem that seemed unsolvable at first, but he handled it very well. Just like now, I don't know how Ling Tian will defend or break through according to his tactics, but he handled it. It seems to be a big trap. Ling Tian will definitely suffer if he dares to come, Qing Lin said. Chapter 1294. Mother, don't worry. Junior brother will take care of it. Whatever he wants to do, he will succeed. Qing Wan said. Okay. You two should visit your father in Chia City more often. He doesn't like to talk about some things, but he really loves you. He just doesn't like it and isn't good at expressing it, Misty Rain said. I will apologize to father. There have been some misunderstandings all these years. I didn't understand father's efforts. Qing Lin nodded. Mother, why are you here? Qing Wan suddenly thought of this question. Misty Rain didn't ask about the Qing Emperor's dynasty for many years. The 9 Stories Tower sent a message to tell us that Yi Shang has returned. Your royal father asked your royal mother to come and take a look. Your royal father is worried that the officials won't accept him because of his young age. He is also worried that you two will cause trouble. Heavenly Lady Yu Fei glanced at her children. Of course not. Qing Wan said with a smile. You two are mature. Okay, let's go to the 9 grand floors, Misty Rain said. Night Sorrow brought the 3 from Summer City to Red Emperor's City. Go to the Library of Congress. The guards of Red Emperor's City saw the 4 of them as if they were facing a great enemy. Night Sorrow's name was too famous. He was an irrepressible bandit. When he fought, he was as ruthless as the devil. Don't misunderstand. Knight Sorrow of the Qing Emperor's dynasty is here to visit the Red Emperor. This is the invitation. Send it over first. We can wait here, Knight Sorrow said as he looked at the guards surrounding the Red Emperor's city. All of you are dismissed. Men, bring Hall Master Yi to the VIP building to rest. A commander stood up and took the invitation before instructing his subordinates. Knight Sorrow and the other three were taken to the Red Emperor's VIP building. However, the building was surrounded by guards. Is it necessary? It's like guarding against thieves, Shangguan Hong muttered. Haha. His Highness is famous, and so are we. You're right, we're guarding against thieves. Xian Darozi said with a smile. As a person, this is what I want. I've lived for countless years in vain. Comfortable. I'm living comfortably now. Shangguan Hong's face was full of smiles. Uncle Xia, you are all Master's old brothers. Why doesn't Elders Wu communicate with you? Why aren't you following us this time? Knight Sorrow asked. There are some things that you don't know, Your Highness. Back then, we were 5 brothers with His Majesty. One of us has already passed away. His name is Niu Air. Zhua Tengyun joined the Qing Emperor's dynasty later. He has a good relationship with His Majesty and is also a brother. However, he is different from the 3 of us, Summer City said. I see. Knight Sorrow understands, Knight Sorrow said. He's not an outsider. However, if there's a battle, the 3 of us will understand and trust each other more. Xian Darozi nodded to Knight Sorrow. At this time, in the Red Emperor's palace, the Red Emperor looked at the invitation. This bastard is definitely up to no good. We must meet him. Our Red Emperor's empire has already entered the water. How far can he push us? He probably wants to borrow people. The Celestial Sect can't withstand his shameless torment. Now that the Celestial Sect wants to come, he won't be able to stop them, Akatsuki said. He has to borrow people. Tianxin, Qihua, you 2 invited him here. You can't be impolite. In the future, you still have many days to interact with each other in the eastern district of the world of Samsara. It's not worth offending someone like him. The Red Emperor said to Akatsuki and Qihua. He was of the older generation and was at the same level as the Qing Emperor. Naturally, he wouldn't take the initiative to meet Knight Sorrow in the VIP tower. He sent the Crown Prince and Qihua, who was the commander-in-chief of the army, to invite him. This showed that he attached great importance to him. Akatsuki and Qihua arrived at the VIP tower. Knight Sorrow greets you, Your Highness. Knight Sorrow saluted first. Akatsuki and Qihua also saluted back. I didn't know that Your Highness Knight Sorrow would come. I'm sorry for the lack of manners. My father is waiting in the Red Emperor's palace. Then please lead the way, Your Highness. Knight Sorrow nodded. When they arrived at the Red Emperor's palace, Knight Sorrow saw the Red Emperor sitting on the high throne. There were 2 rows of officials below. Knight Sorrow greets you, Your Highness Red Emperor. Knight Sorrow saluted. Very good. This time you also made a name for the eastern district of the world of Samsara. Although the name is not very good, I think it's good. The Red Emperor waved his hand and used energy to help Knight Sorrow up. Your Highness Red Emperor, you flatter me. Knight Sorrow is young and inexperienced. I still need to learn more from Your Highness Red Emperor. Knight Sorrow replied politely. Say it. How many people do you want to borrow? I don't have many people to lend you. The Red Emperor said. Borrow people? Borrow what people? Knight Sorrow is not here to borrow people. I just want to ask about the Red Emperor's attitude. Knight Sorrow was stunned for a moment and said, if you are not here to borrow people, then it's even better. My attitude? My attitude is very clear. No matter how we fight in the eastern district of the world of Samsara, even if we fight to the death, if there are outsiders, we will fight them out first. This is the philosophy of the Qing Emperor, and it is also my philosophy. The Red Emperor said. Well, if there is a chance to kill Ling Tian, I will send a message. Will Your Highness Red Emperor go? Knight Sorrow looked at the Red Emperor and asked. Is there such a chance? The Red Emperor stood up. Yes. If Ling Tian doesn't come out even if he loses, then I can't do anything. If he can't take it and comes to the Qing Emperor's dynasty to find trouble, then the chance will come. My master's wife, Misty Rain, has returned. My senior brother, Sandalwood, is already a big shot. The two of them won't be at a disadvantage against the Celestial sect. I will go to the Dark Abyss immediately and invite the Dark Lord. Now it's up to your Highness Red Emperor. Knight Sorrow said. Good courage. No matter if that woman Datura goes or not, I will go. What else do you have to say? The Red Emperor's murderous aura appeared, and then he immediately restrained it. He was attracted by Knight Sorrow's courage. I, Knight Sorrow, owe the Red Emperor's country a favor. If the Red Emperor's country has something to do, send a message. Knight Sorrow will definitely be there. If there is anything else, Your Highness Red Emperor has said that we are a whole in the eastern district of the world of Samsara. I am now in need of transmission crystals to prepare for war. At the same price, Knight Sorrow wants to exchange for some transmission crystals. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment and said, No, that's not necessary. Tianqin, go to the treasury and get him a batch of transmission crystals. Knight Sorrow, remember that this is a gift from me. When you need to fight, crush the transmission crystal. Next time, don't bring people with you. It's as if you are going to fight. Summer City, why do you keep holding the sword? What do you think I will do to a little guy like him? Red Emperor looked at Summer City and said with some dissatisfaction. At the same time, he threw a soul crystal to Knight Sorrow. Your Highness Red Emperor misunderstood. It's not that I don't trust you, Your Highness. Summer City just wants to give His Highness a peace of mind. He will always be behind him and can fight at any time. Summer City's right hand that was holding the sword didn't move. His left hand touched his sword and slightly bowed. Go back and tell Qing Emperor that something happened to him. I am also uncomfortable. Hurry up and recover. Without Qing Emperor, the eastern district of the world of Samsara is incomplete. Red Emperor said. Thank you, Your Highness Red Emperor. Summer City bowed. Not only Summer City, but Xiandaozi and Shangguanhong also did the same. They were returning the bow for the Red Emperor's respect to Qing Emperor. Chapter 1295. All right, that's settled then, the Red Emperor said. Thank you, Red Emperor, for your support. Knight Sorrow will take his leave. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands toward the Red Emperor and left the Red Emperor Palace. Outside the Red Emperor Palace, Akatsuki, who had left earlier, rushed over and handed a storage ring to Knight Sorrow. Thank you. Knight Sorrow said. We will fight in the future, but right now, I don't want to see you lose, Akatsuki said to Knight Sorrow. I won't lose, Knight Sorrow said. Don't get ripped off. When the time comes, you won't be able to boast even if you want to. You haven't paid back what you owe me. Chi Hua, who had followed them out, said. You win. Pointing at Chi Hua, Knight Sorrow couldn't think of the right words to say. He left those 3 words and led the 3 from Summer City to the teleportation array and teleported to the Dark Abyss. There were 3 major forces in the Samsara East District: the Qing Emperor's dynasty, the Red Emperor's empire, and the Dark Abyss. The Dark Abyss was a dark force with a huge territory and countless large cities. Its main city, Dark City, was also very prosperous. The Qing Emperor's dynasty and the Red Emperor's empire both had businesses there. The Dark Abyss was the same. They also had businesses in the Qing Emperor's dynasty and the Red Emperor's empire. No matter how fierce the war was, it wouldn't destroy each other's businesses. At most, it would control and limit the loss of some rare resources. With businesses connected, there would naturally be teleportation arrays. Knight Sorrow had no problem teleporting there. As soon as Knight Sorrow stepped out of the teleportation array, a dark warrior captain swung his blade at Knight Sorrow. Don't move! What do you want? I'm here to see your sovereign. Knight Sorrow roared, unleashing a wave of willpower. This dark warrior captain glared hatefully at Knight Sorrow. You've killed countless members of my Devil Blood Legion. This matter isn't over yet. Someone come and report this. Your Highness, your arrangements aren't good enough. Summer City mumbled as he looked at Knight Sorrow. He knew about the relationship between Knight Sorrow and Datura. Now that he was almost killed by a soldier, he knew that Knight Sorrow did not inform Datura beforehand. It's nothing. It's an official visit. I'm representing the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Who can act recklessly and cut me down just because they want to? Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Soon, the upper echelons of the Dark Abyss appeared. They were Rowan and Shershue. The Lord Ruler asked me to bring you over. These three should rest in the guest quarters, Rowan said. He was the head of the officials in the Dark Abyss. Most of the time, he was the one who handled matters in the Dark Abyss. No, we came together, so we have to go together, Xian Daozi said. No need. This lord has worked hard. The three of us will go and wait. Summer City pulled Xian Daozi aside. Rowan nodded at a nearby Bloodstrike Guard captain. The arrangements have been made. If these three are disturbed in the slightest, the Lord Ruler will take your head. Night Sorrow was brought by Rowan to the Great Bone Hall. There were other officials in the hall as well. Datura was seated on the main seat, fiddling with a jade ring in his hand. Night Sorrow greets the Lord Ruler. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and shouted. The Great Bone Hall was too big, and Datura was seated high up. He had no choice but to raise his voice. Not bad. Hearing your greetings makes this lord very happy. Let's go. Let's talk in the Dragon Bone Hall. Datura waved his hand, and Night Sorrow disappeared from the Great Bone Hall. What's going on? Xiaofan asked, puzzled. Nothing. Just don't provoke Lord Night Sorrow in the future, Rowan said to Xiaofan. After arriving at the Dragon Bone Hall, Night Sorrow found a seat and sat down. You're acting like this is your own home? Datura, who hadn't sat down yet, asked. Yes. In the future, wherever you are, it will be my home, Night Sorrow said. That's right. Wherever I am, it will be your home. Why did you come so formally this time? Datura asked as he brewed tea. Yes, but being brought to the Dragon Bone Hall by you, no matter how formal my visit is, it won't be formal anymore, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Very good, that's a good idea. Let Ling Tian give it a try. With all the forces in the eastern district of the world of reincarnation, it'll be easy to destroy them, Datura said with a smile. I don't think he'll come because he's not stupid. He should have gotten this information, unless those guys from the Black Fiend Valley and Martial God Palace are willing to fight with him to the death, Night Sorrow said. Update, soonest update. No, they're all sly old foxes. Without seeing the heavenly artifact, they won't fight to the death. Besides, they can see how Celestial Sect is being tormented by you. If it's not necessary, they won't want to provoke you. Datura shook his head. That's good. I can still stabilize the situation, Night Sorrow said. 7-star king. Not bad. Did the battles during this period help you? Datura changed the topic. My train of thought was right. Now my state of mind is stable. Night Sorrow nodded. That's good. Once your state of mind is stable, your cultivation will improve quickly. However, don't be too anxious. After entering the high-level sovereign realm, your cultivation and realm will not improve so quickly. Your current strength is not enough. However, it won't be easy for anyone below the Sky Master to take your life. That's enough, Mandela said. Night Sorrow and Datura were drinking tea in the Dragon Bone Hall, but Xian Daozi and Shangguan Hong in the VIP building were a little impatient. Old man, aren't you anxious? Who is Datura? She won't give face to His Majesty at all. If she doesn't give face, His Highness will be embarrassed, Shangguan Hong said while looking at Summer City. That won't happen. His Highness was captured by her once, but he was still fine. It won't be the first time they meet. The situation will be harmonious. Summer City was very confident. Night Sorrow and Datura were engaged. He guessed that the two of them would meet to chat. All right. I'll trust you this time. The Red Emperor has spoken, and with sister-in-law's return, the situation is stabilized. The meat in our mouth is in the bag. Xian Daozi smiled. This guy's personality is like His Majesty's. He's even sharper than His Majesty. Although his cultivation is low, his aura is good. He's also calm when facing the Red Emperor. Shangguan Hong now had a very high opinion of Night Sorrow. He's been training for a long time. Although his reputation in the world of reincarnation is a bit lacking, in other people's worlds, he's still an overlord. His aura and aura have been formed long ago, Summer City said. His Majesty's two disciples are incomparable. After Her Highness Sandalwood comes out of seclusion, she'll definitely be an overlord. His Highness Night Sorrow is famous for being difficult to deal with. The Qing Emperor's dynasty will be as stable as Mount Tai in the future. Xian Daozi sighed. Her Highness Sandalwood is like a general, while His Highness Night Sorrow is like an emperor, an overlord. They're not the same type, but they're both rare monsters, Shangguanhong said. In the Dragonbone Palace, Night Sorrow and Datura talked about the Qing Emperor's situation. Night Sorrow, I don't want to hide it from you, because it'll make you unhappy in the future. The Qing Emperor didn't tell you the truth. The evil poison centipede is a heaven-defying poison. If it's not completely cured, it'll kill you, Datura said hesitantly. Chapter 1296. What's going on? Night Sorrow asked. The Golden Dragon clan is the most domineering among the dragons. They are the kings of dragons, and the evilest are the evil dragons. These two clans are the rarest. The Golden Dragon is rarely seen, and the same goes for the Evil Dragon. The evil venomous centipede is the essence of the poison in the evil dragon's body, and it will corrode everything. Even though the Qing Emperor's cultivation is high, he won't be able to withstand it. Datura explained. But Master told me that he will only lose his cultivation, and his life will be Wuyo? Night Sorrow stood up, and his face was full of anxiety. He was afraid that you would be worried, but with the Qing Emperor's cultivation, he will be able to withstand it for a while. This is the time to solve the problem. Datura pulled on Night Sorrow's sleeve and asked Night Sorrow to sit down first. She understood how Night Sorrow was feeling now. I don't have any clues about the enlightened Tao or the white tiger's blood. Night Sorrow patted his forehead. The enlightened Tao is very rare. If you are lucky, you might be able to find it. The enlightened Tao can repair everything that is damaged in the body. If you find the enlightened Tao, the Qing Emperor's cultivation will be restored by more than half, and it will be easier to suppress the evil venomous centipede. The white tiger's blood can detoxify the poison. After detoxifying the evil venomous centipede, the Qing Emperor will only lose his cultivation, and his life will be Wuyo. I understand. I gave Master the life spirit liquid and the 10,000 life limitless pill. It should buy us some time. Night Sorrow exhaled and said. Datura then took out a book. I gave this to you a long time ago. Can you treat it as my dowry? The Great Death Slash. I don't know if I can cultivate this. Night Sorrow took the book and asked. If it was in the past you could only comprehend by analogy but not now. I have prepared something for you. Datura took out a black stone. What is this? Night Sorrow asked as he looked at the stone that was emitting an aura of death. The Yellow Spring Stone is a treasure nurtured in the Yellow Spring River. Without a certain amount of time, it won't take shape. I searched the entire Yellow Spring River in the world of reincarnation and found it. It's the only one that can give you death energy. Datura said. Aluo, you know that my Dantian's Zhen Qi is void Zhen Qi. My body is circulating the power of desolates, which is also the power of time. In addition, my body also has the power of space. How can I control death energy? Night Sorrow looked at the stone in Datura's hand and said. You can. After you refine it, the Yellow Spring Stone will exist in your body as a treasure. You can use the death energy. You can slowly study it. There will be a suitable method for you. There are some things you don't understand. The death attribute is the closest to the destruction attribute. It contains the highest amount of destruction. The complete death attribute is comparable to your senior brother's blood attribute. Datura said. There are too many things I don't understand. In front of Aluo, I am just an ignorant rookie. Night Sorrow blushed with shame because he didn't know these things. Why is it that an emperor and a heaven pillar, one has comprehended 90% of the will, while the other has comprehended 100% of the will? Why is it that the difference in battle strength between heaven and earth is so great? Because it involves power. The complete will of heaven and earth has a power increase. For ordinary attributes like fire and water, the complete will of heaven and earth contains the destruction and void attributes. The life, death, time and space attributes are not only strong, but they also have a power increase. You will slowly understand. Datura said. You are saying that all attributes contain the highest attribute? Night Sorrow looked at Datura in surprise. Of course. From an ordinary person's point of view, doesn't a fire destroy everything? Doesn't a flash flood destroy everything? Therefore, every attribute contains the element of destruction. It is just a matter of how much is contained. The void attribute is the same. People in the world know more about the destruction attribute because there are many records about it. The void attribute, on the other hand, is mysterious. The dominance of the highest attribute is the same. The void attribute is nothing, and it can destroy everything. It is no different from the destruction attribute. Currently, there are known branches of destruction. Some geniuses have comprehended the destruction branch, and your senior brother is one of them. However, no one has understood or comprehended the void attribute, even if it is a branch. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and felt that Night Sorrow was the lucky one. Aluo, I need to think about what you told me. It is a little complicated, Night Sorrow said. I am just casually telling you. This understanding might be very important to ordinary cultivators. However, you have the highest attribute, so it is not that important, Datura said. After chatting with Datura for a while, Night Sorrow decided to leave. The Qing Emperor's dynasty was not stable yet, and there were many things that needed to be arranged. Datura hugged Night Sorrow. This is my main body. I can't tell the difference. Night Sorrow looked at Datura and said, It is very simple. Pay attention to this. There is a strand of golden hair here. There is no clone. Datura turned around and pointed at his hair. I know. I will come to see you when I have time. Or you can wait for me in the city in the sky. My master lives in the small lakeside house in Seven Night City, Night Sorrow said. After hugging Datura again, Night Sorrow put away the yellow spring stone that Datura gave him and left the Dragon Bone Palace. Finally, he was led to the VIP building by Shue. How is His Highness? Xiandaozi asked anxiously. No problem. As long as Ling Tian dares to appear in the Qing Emperor's dynasty with a puppet, he will not need to return, Night Sorrow said. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, wonderful. Your Highness, there is nothing you cannot do. Even the Dark Lord can persuade you, Shangguanhong said excitedly. There are many things you don't know. The future will make you two tremble, Summer City said to the excited Xiandaozi and Shangguanhong. If there is nothing else, let's go back. My master's wife is still worried. Also, I want to see how the Qing Emperor's dynasty is doing. The teleportation array must be set up quickly, Night Sorrow said and walked out. Shue sent Yi Shang and the others to the teleportation array. He seemed to understand something, but he couldn't explain it, nor did he dare to guess. He only knew that he couldn't offend Yi Shang. After teleporting to the Qing Emperor's dynasty, Night Sorrow and the others headed to the Qing Emperor's palace. At this moment, Qing Lin and Tan Lin were overseeing the situation. Tan Lin was making arrangements, while Qing Lin was coordinating the Qing Lin army. Junior brother, you're back. Did everything go well? Qing Lin asked when he saw Night Sorrow. Everything went well. Where is Master's wife? Night Sorrow asked. She is in the 9-layer pagoda. Blue Phoenix is with her. You should go rest after running around, Qing Lin said. Night Sorrow nodded and led Summer City and the others back to the 9-layer pagoda. Inside the 9-layer pagoda, Misty Rain asked in surprise after hearing Night Sorrow's report. Did everything go well? Datura also agreed? Chapter 1297. If Ling Tian and the others bring their puppets here, I will send a message to the Red Emperor and the Dark Dominator. All right, Fei Xiao, give this storage ring to Tan Lin, Night Sorrow said as he took out the storage ring given to him by Akatsuki. Your Highness, let's see how we can send something of equal value back. Otherwise, Your Highness will owe the Red Emperor a favor, Summer City said. Don't worry, I will repay this favor slowly. The Red Emperor's empire will also need help, Night Sorrow said. What's going on? Our Qing Emperor's empire can't owe others a favor, Misty Rain said. No, mistress, don't worry. Originally, I wanted to use other resources to exchange for the teleportation crystal, but the Crimson Emperor didn't accept it. He said that it was a gift to me, Yi Shang, so I will settle this matter, Yi Shang said. The Red Emperor isn't stupid. He thinks highly of you, so your favor is very important. However, this is the only way, Misty Rain said. If I didn't accept it, then it would seem as if I rejected it. It would seem as if I was being petty, so I didn't refuse at the time, Yi Shang explained. You didn't do anything wrong. If you rejected it, it would mean that you were keeping him at arm's length. It's not appropriate. We can only wait and see. Did Datura make things difficult for you? Heavenly Monarch Yufei asked. She was worried that Yi Shang would be wronged because Mandela was famous for being ruthless in the world of reincarnation. No, Datura didn't make things difficult for me. Don't worry, Night Sorrow said. Heavenly Monarch Yufei nodded. Xuanji, spread the word. I guarantee that the news will spread everywhere. Whatever the price is, I'm willing to pay. The remains of the profound Ice Tiger King, the Thunder Rune Spirit Accumulation Pill. I don't care what kind of pills, weapons, or armor you need. I'm willing to pay them all, Yi Shuang said to Jun Xuanji. Night Sorrow, what are you trying to do? This won't do. We can spread the news, but don't mention the bones of the mystical Ice Tiger King. Just say that we will pay any price. If they ask for a sky-high price, we can pay them back on the spot. However, if they mention the bones of the mystical Ice Tiger King, it won't be easy to negotiate, Misty Rain said to Jun Xuanji. Jun Xuanji nodded and went to make arrangements. Currently, all the officials of the Qing Emperor's palace were negotiating with her. She was the representative of the 9 Grand Pavilion. Mistress, I want to pay a bigger price. This way, we can mobilize everyone and have a better chance. Although the bones of the mystical Ice Tiger King are valuable, it is not worth mentioning compared to Master's health, Night Sorrow said. Yi Shang, I understand what you mean. But you have to know that if you don't have it, it's useless even if you pay a huge price. If you take out a treasure like the profound Ice Unicorn Tiger King skeleton, you'll be trapped in a whirlpool. Our Qing Imperial Empire can't become a whirlpool anymore. Your master and his wife know what you're thinking, said Celestial Monarch Yufei. Night Sorrow nodded. He couldn't say anything else. After that, everyone went back to work. Even the Blue Phoenix left. Mistress, tell me the truth. How much time do we have to find the materials for Master's problem? Night Sorrow asked when there was no one else in the hall. Your master will be fine. You don't have to worry too much, Misty Rain said. Mistress, I have learned that the poisonous centipede evil dragon is fatal. Without the corresponding resources, the consequences will be very serious. Night Sorrow looked at Misty Rain and said. Since you know, I won't hide it from you. Without your life spirit liquid and longevity limitless elixir, the situation will be very bad. It will be unimaginably bad. I don't dare to think about it. However, with the longevity limitless elixir, your master will be able to survive for 10,000 years. I believe that if we work together, we can solve this problem, Misty Rain said. With 10,000 years, I feel more at ease. Let's wait and see what the Celestial Sect will do. After this crisis, I will go to the Xuanhuan Great World and the Xinwu Great World to spread the news. Ming Dao must get it as soon as possible, Night Sorrow said. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, let's solve the current crisis first. You don't have to worry too much. The Qing Emperor's dynasty is everyone's dynasty. Let's work together. Misty Rain nodded to Night Sorrow. Misty Rain's view of Night Sorrow had completely changed. He understood why the Qing Emperor valued and liked Night Sorrow so much. No one would dislike such a disciple. In the following days, the 9-story tower became the core of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. The officials and princes came to the 9-story tower to see Night Sorrow about the results of their work. The defense of the Qing Emperor's dynasty was carried out in an orderly manner. After watching Night Sorrow dismiss the officials, Summer City said, Your Highness, the Black Fiend Valley was dishonest some time ago. Let's go to the Black Fiend Valley now and teach them a lesson like we did to the Celestial Sect some time ago. If we attack the Black Fiend Valley now, it will force the Black Fiend Valley and the Celestial Sect to join forces and fight to the death with us. This is not good for us. If we deal with the Celestial Sect now, other forces will laugh at us. After we deal with the Celestial Sect, we will attack the Black Fiend Valley. At that time, it will be difficult for the Black Fiend Valley to join forces with others. At the very least, the Celestial Sect will not join forces, because when the Celestial Sect is suffering, they will just watch and not help, Night Sorrow said. Summer City, you are far behind in the battle of wits. Don't come up with bad ideas. Just do as Night Sorrow said. Misty Rain glanced at Summer City and said, Sister-in-law, You know that Summer City is stupid. Don't lower yourself to Summer City's level. Summer City cupped one hand in the other before his chest and said to Misty Rain. You haven't made any progress, but you are still the Summer City of the past, full of courage, Misty Rain said. The situation was very stable. Ling Tian had spies in the eastern part of the world of Samsara, so he knew the situation of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. He couldn't take revenge. The Celestial Sect still had 3 Heaven Master-level puppets, but the Qing Emperor's dynasty could gather more than 3 Heaven Masters. Not to mention the Red Emperor and Misty Rain, Ling Tian didn't dare to ignore Sandalwood's fighting strength. Sandalwood, who had just entered the Heaven Master level, was able to save the Qing Emperor, which showed how terrifying she was. Datura could defeat Zhang Taiyang and make him flee. This was known to everyone in the world of Samsara. Knight Sorrow was not afraid of waiting because he had the formation plate. Knight Sorrow could fight and run as he wished. But Ling Tian couldn't. He was afraid of being ambushed. Once he was ambushed, the Celestial Sect would be finished. Foster father, if we can't fight on a large scale, then we should kill Knight Sorrow himself. If we kill him, the Qing Emperor's dynasty won't be as united as it is now. Chang Xiangxi said. It's not that easy. That little bastard is very intelligent. He must be prepared for this. It's difficult to assassinate him. Let the spies continue to investigate. Ling Tian looked at Chang Xiangxi and said. Then we'll just accept this loss? Ling Ju also said. Of course not. I'll go to the Black Fiend Valley now and see what Li Tianba and Li Tianhu have to say. They won't let the Qing Emperor's dynasty be so arrogant. Ling Tian said. Chapter 1298. Ling Tian was disappointed when he went to the Celestial Sect. Li Tianba said he was in seclusion, and it was Li Tianhu who received him. Li Tianhu's reply to Ling Tian was that he couldn't make the decision and could only wait for Li Tianba to come out of seclusion. Ling Tian naturally understood that this was an excuse, but he had nothing to say. The Celestial Sect and the Black Fiend Valley weren't in an alliance. They just shared the same interests temporarily. If the Black Fiend Valley wasn't willing to cooperate, Ling Tian couldn't do anything. After Ling Tian left, Li Tianba appeared. There's no other way. The Qing Emperor's dynasty hasn't reached the stage where we can kill as we please. We can't force it, Li Tianba said. That's right. That Sandalwood should be adapting to her new realm now. When she comes out, her combat strength can't be underestimated. Li Tianhu and Li Tianba had the same idea. They couldn't be dragged into this mess. Ling Tian was furious when he returned to the Celestial Sect, but what could he do? The Celestial Sect was at a disadvantage, but the other forces weren't, so they wouldn't rashly fight the Qing Emperor's dynasty. He didn't dare to bring people and puppets to fight. He had already investigated Knight Sorrow's plan. He was a little afraid of Knight Sorrow's defense. Knight Sorrow's arrangement eliminated the possibility of a sneak attack. As long as they fought, the Qing Emperor's dynasty would immediately send people to kill them. He couldn't guarantee that he could escape unscathed. Without a battle, Knight Sorrow stayed in the 9 Grand Floors. He was now studying the Death Destruction Slash, but he didn't cultivate it. There was only one underworld stone, and it had to be used by the main body. The Death Destruction Slash would be the best if the main body could cultivate it. Without a battle, Knight Sorrow's state of mind also calmed down. He needed a fearless heart and the determination to face the world. However, Knight Sorrow also realized that the improvement of the will of nothingness had slowed down. This was the difficulty of high-level king's cultivation. The comprehension of the will of nothingness was slow, but the improvement of the will of time and space was still maintained. In his free time, Knight Sorrow would go to Seven Night City to accompany Qing Emperor. Knight Sorrow knew that the current Qing Emperor was just an ordinary old man. He had lost the cultivation that had once allowed him to look down on the world, so he was probably very disappointed. Knight Sorrow, I've heard from Qing Lin and Qing Luan about the current situation. You've done well. I'm very pleased. Qing Emperor said as he looked at Knight Sorrow who was brewing tea. Master, don't worry. I will find Ming Dao and White Tiger's blood. Knight Sorrow said as he poured a cup of tea for Qing Emperor. Don't worry. Life now is not bad. I've felt many things that I didn't feel before. Perhaps life should be like this. Ordinary, quiet, and peaceful. These are all things that I didn't feel before, Qing Emperor said with a smile. Master, don't worry. Qing Emperor's dynasty is very stable. After senior brother comes out of seclusion, it will be even more stable. Knight Sorrow was still afraid that Qing Emperor would be worried. I know you and senior brother's abilities. Qing Emperor's dynasty. I don't worry. Wuyo is my current state of mind. However, you have to be careful with your senior brother. He is too strong and too weak, Qing Emperor said. I will. Knight Sorrow nodded. At this moment, Yi Qingyan came with a food box. However, when she saw Knight Sorrow, she was a bit nervous and embarrassed. If there's food, there's wine. Take it out. It's not like I don't know. If you need it in the future, just get it from your mother. Take a little less each time. Your grandmaster's state of mind is the same when he drinks. 1 cup or 2 cups is no different from 1 jar or 2 jars, Knight Sorrow said to Yi Qingyan. Qingyan understands. Yi Qingyan nodded. After drinking a cup of wine with Qing Emperor, Knight Sorrow left. However, he asked Yi Qingyan to accompany Qing Emperor for a while. Seeing Knight Sorrow leave, Qing Emperor smiled at Yi Qingyan. In your family, your mother and aunt are the stricter ones, right? Why are you and Yujun more afraid of your father? Father has never said harsh words to us. Not even once, let alone scolding us. Father has been working too hard these years. My brother and I don't want him to be disappointed, not even a little bit, said Yi Qingyan. She was only a month older than Yi Yujun and was the elder sister. Your way of thinking is right, and it's also very rare. You've all done it. In your father's heart, nothing is more important than his family and the people around him. In fact, his inner motivation comes from protecting the people he wants to protect. You are his motivation to move forward, and that includes his current grandmaster, Qing Emperor said. Father has created one situation after another. However, with great achievements comes great responsibility. My mother said that father simply can't stop. Only when the day comes when he can sweep through everything, when he can suppress everything will he be able to have peace and quiet, said Yi Qingyan. Your father can do it. He just needs some time. Give him time. At that time, you can say that you're Knight Sorrow's daughter and you can do whatever you want in the world. You're proud to have such a father, said Qing Emperor with a smile. Grandmaster, it's not like that in Qingyan's world. Father is the pride of my heart. But one day when someone talks about Yi Qingyan, I think that Yi Qingyan is also the pride of my father. That's my dream, said Yi Qingyan. Good. I've always known that your uncles were lacking. They were lacking in aptitude and state of mind. Now I understand that what they lack the most is their mentality, will and belief. It's the belief in your heart. As long as you have this belief, you'll succeed. Qing Emperor looked at Yi Qingyan and said. At this moment, he understood the most important thing that his children lacked. Grandmaster, I'm talking nonsense. Please don't laugh at me, said Yi Qingyan embarrassedly. No, you can't lose your belief. Qing Emperor nodded at Yi Qingyan. He knew that Yi Qingyan's mentality and belief were the foundation of success. Qing Emperor's dynasty was stable. Knight Sorrow planned to make a move. However, he went to Misty Rain first. Grandmaster's wife, I plan to go to the Xuanhuan Great World and the Shenwu Great World to post a reward. We have to solve the problem of Ming Dao, said Knight Sorrow. Chapter J of the chapter of the original edition Misty Rain said, Grandmaster's wife has already asked for help in the Shenwu Great World. You don't need to go there. We'll talk about the Xuanhuan Great World later. Now the Qing Emperor's dynasty needs someone to guard it. You're the most suitable person. You can't leave. It's not time for you to wander around. Knight Sorrow nodded. He was anxious. However, the Qing Emperor's dynasty was not stable yet. Then I'll wait for you to finish your closed-door training. Then I'll go out for a walk. You don't need to be anxious. How long have you lived? It's only 100 years. Your master has taken the limitless elixir. He has 10,000 years. What can't you do in 10,000 years? Don't you have confidence? Misty Rain saw Knight Sorrow's anxiety. I understand. I have to convince the Celestial Sect. Only then can I do things with confidence. I believe I can do it. As long as I work hard, there's nothing I can't do. Knight Sorrow suddenly felt more relaxed. Chapter 1299. All along, what Night Sorrow did not lack the least was faith. He felt that as long as he was willing to work hard, there was nothing he could not accomplish. Misty Rain spoke the truth. He cultivated to the High King level in 100 years. Then, even if he had 1,000 years to cultivate to the Monarch level, there was enough time. Have you thought it through? Misty Rain looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I understand. I have confidence in myself. Night Sorrow nodded. Misty Rain nodded. She had already sensed Night Sorrow's change. She suddenly felt that her husband was indeed amazing. His eyes for accepting disciples were sharp. Night Sorrow's change in mood was very rare. Many times, what limited people's progress was a psychological barrier. Awakening and enlightenment were extremely important. Night Sorrow here could enlighten him with just a few words. This was rare and valuable. Soon after, Night Sorrow found materials related to the constellation world. Although he would not go now, he would definitely go in the future. After finding the materials, Night Sorrow slowly studied them. The constellation world was at the level between a high-grade world and a large world. It was slightly higher than a high-grade world, but it still did not reach the level of a large world. The restrictions were relatively special. The sky giants were rejected and could not enter. People of other levels could enter, but no one could easily enter. The constellation world was the territory of divine beasts. Entering was very difficult to return. The constellation world was the Eastern Azure Dragon territory. The Azure Dragons were high-grade dragons. They had the opportunity to be born and advance to the Golden Dragon. The Southern Vermilion Bird territory was the territory of the Vermilion Bird tribe. The Northern Black Turtle territory was the territory of the Black Turtle tribe. The Western White Tiger territory was the territory of the White Tiger tribe. The White Tiger tribe members were few, but each was an existence that defied the natural order. Under the sky giants, encountering them was death. In addition, not to mention that the sky giants could not enter, even if they could, they did not dare enter the constellation world. The constellation world had sky giants-level divine beasts, and the divine beasts' battle prowess was generally tyrannical. The sky giants had no chance of victory. In addition, as long as you entered, the other side would sense the opportunity and immediately come to kill you. Over time, the constellation plane became a forbidden area that no one dared to mention. No one dared to go there to train, and no one could go there to obtain resources. Thus, the constellation plane almost faded from the sight of cultivators. White tigers are extremely rare, and each of them possesses astonishing battle prowess. A high-level king can fight against a monarch, and a monarch can contend against a heaven master. Night Sorrow mumbled in a low voice because he discovered that the difficulty was extremely high. Night Sorrow felt that he had to wait. He had the ability to fight those at a higher level. If he reached the monarch realm, he would be able to defeat the white tiger. If he wanted to deal with the evil venomous centipede dragon, he would need at least the blood of a monarch-ranked white tiger. Night Sorrow closed the book and put it into his storage ring. He felt a lot more relieved. He felt that he wouldn't need a long time to reach the monarch realm. If 100 years wasn't enough, then he would take 1,000 years. If 1,000 years wasn't enough, then he would take 3,000 years. If 3,000 years wasn't enough, then he would take 5,000 years. Night Sorrow believed that he could do it. Whether it was Ming Dao or White Tiger blood, as long as he could get one, then the Qing Emperor's life would be Wuyo's. Night Sorrow was confident that he could do it. Since he had nothing to do, Night Sorrow studied the Death Destruction Slash. The Death Destruction Slash was different from the Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash. The difference was that the Death Destruction Slash used the death energy as the core. A secret technique was used to merge one's will and soul power into the energy. When combined with the death energy, the attack would be able to suppress the opponent's soul and make them lose their ability to react. The duration of this loss depended on one's cultivation and the opponent's ability. Datura's cultivation was very high. When attacking, he could affect a heaven master. How could Zhang Taiyong lose? When facing the Death Destruction Slash, he couldn't counter it. He could only passively receive the attack. That was why he was at a disadvantage. There was only one underworld stone. Night Sorrow decided to let his original body cultivate it. His original body cultivated it, but his doppelganger didn't have this ability. The death energy appeared in the form of a treasure. It wasn't cultivated by the original body, so his doppelganger couldn't have it unless he got a second underworld stone. This result was regrettable, but Night Sorrow was already very happy. The original body was the most important. The doppelganger was to help fight and deal with things. After analyzing, Night Sorrow didn't cultivate, nor did he go to the Samsara Palace to deliver the underworld stone. The original body cultivated very well, so there was no need to waste time. Besides, it wasn't appropriate to keep troubling the Samsara Palace's device spirit. The Samsara Palace wasn't his, so he couldn't enter and leave as he pleased. It was like his own home. That day, when Night Sorrow went to see the Qing Emperor, the Qing Emperor sized up Night Sorrow. "You're in a good state. You're energetic. Very good. Master, you've been hiding it from me because you don't want me to take risks and worry. I know about it, but I don't think it's a problem. Master, you can hold on for 10,000 years. If you can't solve it within 10,000 years, then I'm useless. Master, I'm confident that I can do what I want to do well," said Night Sorrow. This is the formation diagram of the Xianhuang Dragon Tiger Formation. However, it's not suitable for you to set up a city-protecting formation like the Xianhuang Dragon Tiger Formation. If it doesn't have its own characteristics, it won't be a signature. You have the formation diagrams of the 9 Secret Slaughtering God Formation, the Heaven Sealing Formation, and the Heaven Locking Formation. Together with this Xianhuang Dragon Tiger Formation, you can combine them and develop a formation that belongs to Night Sorrow. The Qing Emperor handed a yellowish formation diagram to Night Sorrow. "Master, this is the formation diagram of the 9 Secret Slaughtering God Formation. You love formations. Take it to kill time." Night Sorrow took out the formation diagram of the 9 Secret Slaughtering God Formation. "This is from Datura Datura. It's not suitable for me to study it." The Qing Emperor shook his head and said, he was a gentleman. There were some things he didn't want to do. "Master, Datura Datura won't mind." "I'll explain," said Night Sorrow. "That won't do. This is my principle." The Qing Emperor began to shake his head. Night Sorrow had no choice. He walked to the side and took out the concentric crystal. He told Datura Datura about it. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, no problem. Since I gave it to you, it's yours. You can arrange it however you want. Your master is a stubborn old man. Datura Datura said with a smile. She knew the Qing Emperor very well. After knowing the result of the conversation between Night Sorrow and Datura Datura, the Qing Emperor took the formation diagram of the 9 Secret Slaughtering God Formation. "My formation skills are deeper than yours because I've studied formations for a long time. I have the materials to set up a formation that can trap a giant. I can also refine a formation disc. However, I haven't studied it deeply. Since you've chosen this path, then continue on it. It's a shortcut to cultivate your mind and improve your soul cultivation." "I understand." Night Sorrow nodded. "There's one more thing. We have a great hatred for the Celestial Sect. But it's not the time to fight with them. Don't act rashly." The Qing Emperor said. "Master, is the Celestial Sect really worth being so afraid of?" Night Sorrow asked. "Yes. If any sect in the world of Samsara has a rank 9 practitioner, the Celestial Sect is the most likely." The Qing Emperor exhaled and said. Chapter 1300. Is there such a possibility? Night Sorrow felt that this matter was a little serious. "Yes. Do you know that every world has a lifespan?" Qing Emperor asked. Yi Shang nodded. He was aware of this. Space and worlds had lifespans, and the length of their lifespans was different. The lifespans of the highest worlds were longer, and the lifespans of the lower worlds were shorter. However, no matter how short a space world was, it was still very common for it to have a lifespan of tens of millions of years. When a world reached the end of its lifespan, it would collapse and reorganize. This was called destruction. If the origin core of a space world was strong, it would develop again after destruction and become a new world. If the origin core was weak, it would be completely destroyed, and a new world would produce a replacement. This was a cycle. Another was the Great Destruction cycle. The Great Destruction of a world was terrifying. It was the collapse of a group of worlds. For example, when the world of Samsara was destroyed, the surrounding small worlds would be annihilated and reorganized. This was the Great Destruction era. The period of the Great Destruction Cycle is called an era. Do you know how long the Celestial Sect has existed? They have existed since the last era and have a long heritage. Just like the puppet technique, they are a civilization of the last era. How deep do you think their heritage is? Qing Emperor looked at Knight Sorrow and said. Knight Sorrow didn't speak. He felt that he knew too little, too little. There was once a diviner who divined something about the Celestial Sect, but he was killed directly. The result of the diviner's divination was that the Celestial Sect had a 9th-rank corpse, Qing Emperor said. There's a 9th-rank corpse? That's an undying realm. Isn't a 9th-rank corpse extremely terrifying? Knight Sorrow was extremely shocked. The undying realm is just like my situation. What's the biggest threat and harm of the evil dragon poison centipede? It's that the soul can't stay in this body. I said that I died, but it's actually a process of reincarnation, Qing Emperor said. Knight Sorrow understood that the undying king realm wouldn't really dissipate in the world unless the soul was destroyed. They could be reincarnated. However, reincarnation was very risky. It was a period of confusion. That meant that the memories of the previous life had not been awakened. If one was unlucky and met with some setbacks and died prematurely, they would really die. Luck. Reincarnation depended on luck. Even if one was a heaven overlord, they would still be powerless after reincarnation. If they were unlucky, they would still die. Yi Qianhua had successfully reincarnated many times because the danger level of the 9 regions world was low. Qi practitioners were in the undying realm, while body practitioners were in the undying realm. Only the current Knight Sorrow could be considered as undying realm. Even if Knight Sorrow's body was chopped off, he could still regrow his limbs. His body was almost entirely made of crystal, and his memories were immortal. As for his soul, Knight Sorrow's soul was no different from the other kings. He was also immortal. What's the state of the corpse now? If you knew this, you shouldn't have gone, Yi Shang said to the Azure Emperor. No matter what state it is, no matter how strong they are, they have to fight as long as they provoke them. But you're different. You're in the growth stage, so they can't fight you head-on. Besides, they won't use their trump card unless it's the most critical moment. If they used their trump card, they would have already unified the world of samsara. Qing Emperor sneered. I understand. Knight Sorrow nodded. Let me tell you this. You can be respectful, but you can't be afraid. If you're not bullied, you can bear it. But if you're bullied, you have to fight. Now you've done well. They can't do anything. Use their trump card? They don't dare and won't. They can win if they use their trump card, but they're no longer the celestial sect that everyone suspects and scruples. Qing Emperor said. After chatting with Qing Emperor for a while, Knight Sorrow returned to the land of sky. He planned to talk to Father Gu. With the thunder-patterned spirit-gathering elixir and the support of unlimited elixirs, Father Gu was now a venerable. He was in an excellent state of mind. Father! Knight Sorrow shouted to Father Gu, who was wearing coarse clothes and was mowing grass in the land of sky. Why are you so loud? You scared me. Father Gu glanced at Knight Sorrow and said, Haha, I'll do it. I haven't done this for a long time. Knight Sorrow took the big scissors from Father Gu's hand and began to trim the grass. When can you come out in person? Lord Yu and Qing Yan have grown up. I can help you take care of a few more. Father Gu patted the broken branches and leaves on his clothes and said, Father, don't you think I'm doing well now? My son and daughter are obedient and sensible. What else can I ask for? Knight Sorrow said with a smile. In the past, Zhuyuan village couldn't afford to raise so many children. But now, you can't afford to raise so many children. You can't afford to raise them, but the Yi family can. I can too. Father Gu glared at Knight Sorrow. That's right. As long as you can give birth, the Yi family can afford to raise them. Night Moon Dynasty's direct descendants are still counting on you to have more children. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing walked over together. Father, Mother, you have me as your son. I also have Lord Yu as my son. I've completed my mission. You can talk to Lord Yu about this in the future. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. You bastard. Can't I teach you a lesson now that you've grown up? Yu Qing scolded with a smile. In her heart, the more grandchildren the better. However, she didn't force it because the Yi family was doing very well now. They were the #1 family in the 9 regions world. Translator, Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios, I wouldn't dare. No matter how hard I've grown up, father, mother, and father can beat and scold me as you wish. Night Sorrow said. Then, the family went to the center of the garden. Night Sorrow began to make tea. Night Sorrow, your adopted brother often comes over. He always says that his tea house has opened in 7 Night City, but you don't go there often. Father Goose said. I'm indeed very busy. The world is very chaotic now. Every step I take is like walking on thin ice. Night Sorrow said. Father Goo nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow didn't have it easy. Grandpa, I'm here. At this time, Chen Zhukong appeared with 2 roasted chickens and a jar of wine in his hands. Greetings to your uncle. Father Goose said. Uncle, thank you for your guidance last time. Chen Zhukong bowed. You know him? I thought you didn't know him. Serve the dishes. Father Goose said. Night Sorrow asked Chen Zhukong to sit down, but Chen Zhukong remained standing. After hesitating for a while, Chen Zhukong said, Uncle, can you do me a favor? I don't want to stay in the Commander-in-Chief's residence any longer. I want to take a look at 7 Night City. But my brother said that without his permission, if I dare to take a step out of the 9 regions world, he will break my legs. Hee. Father, what do you think? Night Sorrow looked at Father Goo. How should I put it? Young people should go out and explore. His brother might be worried about his safety. Father Goo said. All right, I'll let your brother know when I see him in 7 Night City. Night Sorrow said. Is that okay? Grand Ancestor Qian Hua might have his own ideas. Yu Qing said. She felt that Night Sorrow would take responsibility for this. Is that okay? Our Lord Yu and Qing Yan are also out and about. Night Sorrow felt that there was no problem. Chapter 1301. Night Sorrow is right. If I had objected to him leaving Zhuyuan village back then, the current situation would be unbearable. Alive? Can an ordinary person live to this age? They might have already returned to the earth. Old Man Gu said. Old Man Gu is right. Yu Qing nodded. She was very satisfied with her son's achievements and was also very grateful to Old Man Gu. After chatting with his parents and Old Man Gu for a while, Night Sorrow left the city in the sky and went to Chia City. He found Yi Qianhua and told him about Chen Zhukong. Bastard, why would I look for you for such a small matter? I've been planning to do this for a long time. I just want to test his temper. I'll talk to him later, Yi Qianhua said. He knew that Night Sorrow had a lot of things to do. Chen Zhukong's matter was a small matter and he shouldn't trouble Night Sorrow. After helping Chen Zhukong solve the problem, Night Sorrow returned to the 9 grand floors. When Night Sorrow returned, Qing Lin and the officials of the Qing Emperor's palace were reporting something to Misty Rain. Good. You guys can tell him directly so that I don't have to pass on the message, Misty Rain said. Then, Qing Lin and the others told Night Sorrow about the current situation of the empire. The defenses were all completed. It's more stable now. The officials should return to their posts. Those who have clones should return as much as possible. Their families should be placed in the Qing Emperor city. Everything should be normal. We have ways to counter them. Ling Tian won't dare to attack at all. Also, Uncle Xiandaozi, arrange for the Qing Emperor's guard to clean up the Qing Emperor city again, Night Sorrow said. Your Highness, the spies in the Qing Emperor's city are hidden very well. It won't be easy to dig them out, Xiandaozi said. It's best if we can dig them out. Even if we can't, we'll let the other forces know that we're constantly cleaning up the Qing Emperor's city. They won't dare to infiltrate. Without a large number of infiltrators, the Qing Emperor's dynasty will be safe, Night Sorrow said. Just do what I tell you to do. What do you understand? Misty Rain said. I can't keep up with your thoughts, Xiandaozi said. I can't guess what your Majesty's goal is. I'll go immediately. He left to make arrangements for Night Sorrow's deployment. Currently, Xiandaozi was in charge of the Qing Emperor's palace's imperial guards, while the shadow guards were under Summer City's commander. Shangguan Hong was in charge of the Qing Emperor's imperial guards. This was what the Qing Emperor had asked Night Sorrow to arrange, as they were the most trustworthy people. After everything was arranged, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and invited Misty Rain to sit down. Mistress, No one will assassinate disciples here. If you have time, go accompany Master. It's okay. We've been husband and wife for many years. I haven't been with him for millions of years. Isn't he living a good life? Misty Rain said with a smile. It's different now. When people are suffering setbacks, what they need the most is the support and companionship of those around them. No matter how powerful Master used to be, he still needs his family now, Night Sorrow said. You're right. If you need anything, just send a message at any time. Remember, don't worry and make bold arrangements. There's nothing you can't do. Whether it's right or wrong, your master and mistress are behind you. They won't complain about you at all, Misty Rain said. Night Sorrow nodded. This was support, regardless of whether it was right or wrong. His days settled down. Every day, Yishang studied formations. His main body was constantly improving his realm. One day, Night Sorrow felt that he could go to the Black-Yellow Great World once to post a reward and Ming Dao. As for being unfamiliar with the place, it didn't matter. Qing Emperor and Tang Jianfeng were sworn friends. He had a good chat with Tang Bo and Tang Xian. It was no big deal for them to help him post a reward. With this idea in mind, Night Sorrow told Summer City that he was going to the Black-Yellow Great World. I'll go with you. Your Highness can't go alone. Let Xian Daozi guard the 9-story tower, Summer City said. Okay. Night Sorrow nodded and sent Fei Xiao to call Xian Daozi. Your Highness shouldn't go out at this time, but His Majesty's injury must be treated as soon as possible. That's it. If anything happens, send a message back. If something happens at home, I'll crush Your Highness's messaging crystal, Xian Daozi said. Then Night Sorrow and Summer City set off directly. After arriving at Samsara City, they left the Samsara Great World through a transmission. Not long after Night Sorrow and Summer City left, Ling Tian of the Celestial Sect got the news. He was very concerned about Night Sorrow's movements. The Celestial Sect had influence in Samsara City, so they naturally knew about Night Sorrow's appearance. However, Ling Tian didn't find out where Night Sorrow had gone. Samsara City wasn't a place where the Celestial Sect could do whatever they wanted. Since he couldn't be sure, Ling Tian sent someone to guard the transmission formation. In addition, he sent spies to continue to sneak into the Qing Emperor's dynasty to investigate. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Night Sorrow and Summer City arrived at the Black-Yellow Great World through the transmission formation. The two worlds were very far away, but the transmission formation between them was of a higher level than the one Night Sorrow used in Chia City. When they arrived at the Black-Yellow Great World, Night Sorrow felt a different aura. After tasting it, Night Sorrow felt that if the Samsara Great World was full of fighting spirit and biting cold aura, then the Black-Yellow Great World was full of tolerance and weight. They were two completely different artistic conceptions. Night Sorrow knew that it was because of the different primary attribute. However, he didn't know what the primary attribute of the Samsara Great World was, let alone the Black-Yellow Great World. After feeling it for a while, Night Sorrow and Summer City walked toward the governor's mansion of the Black-Yellow Great World. It took them an hour to arrive. Mainly because they were observing the situation of the Black-Yellow Great World while walking, so they didn't rush to fly. When they arrived at the gate of the governor's mansion, Night Sorrow hesitated. Should he meet Tang Boheo, who was more congenial with him? Or should he meet Tang Jianfeng directly? What's wrong, Your Highness? Seeing Night Sorrow standing still in front of the gate of the governor's mansion, Summer City asked. Governor Tang and my master are sworn friends. Since I'm here, I should pay him a visit. But he's a giant. Isn't it inappropriate to disturb him directly? If I asked to see Tang Bo, Tang Yi, and the others, it would be rude. Yishang voiced his concerns. Your Highness is right. It's not good to meet them rashly. But if you don't, it'll be impolite. Summer City didn't know how to choose. Just then, a woman came in from outside. It was Tang Yi. Night Sorrow, you've arrived at the Black-Yellow Great World. Why don't you come in? Tang Yi was a little surprised to see Night Sorrow. I'm hesitating. I think it's a little abrupt to meet Governor Tang. It'll be impolite if I don't pay him a visit. Night Sorrow directly told her his thoughts. My father has nothing to do recently. He's not in closed-door training. He's in the governor's mansion. I'll take you in. After saying that, Tang Yi led the way in front. The distribution of forces in the black-yellow great world was very complicated. At present, the most influential person was Tang Jianfeng, the governor of the black-yellow great world. In the main hall of the governor's mansion, Knight Sorrow saw Tang Jianfeng. Chapter 1302. You brat. I thought you would be able to stand at the door for a long time. Tang Jianfeng greeted. What was his cultivation level? He knew as soon as Knight Sorrow came over. Knight Sorrow greets City Lord Tang. Knight Sorrow bowed. You're welcome. I've heard about what happened to your master. The Celestial sect is very despicable. Now they're relying on their predecessors. Otherwise they're nothing, Tang Jianfeng said with disdain in his eyes. It's my fault as a disciple. I've brought trouble to my master. So no matter what the price is, I'll help my master recover, Knight Sorrow said. I can understand your feelings. I've also looked into the ancient records and know what is needed. I can't do anything about the White Tiger's blood. Ming Dao has already issued a reward, but there is no news at the moment, Tang Jianfeng said. Actually, I'm here for this. Thank you, City Lord Tang. Knight Sorrow bowed deeply again to express his gratitude. You don't need to be polite or grateful. When you're older, you'll understand how difficult it is to have an old friend in life. I'm not stingy with what I can do for your master, Tang Jianfeng said. Knight Sorrow nodded. He was touched by the brotherhood. That's enough. You're too restrained here. Tang Yi, take him to your two brothers. Yishang, you stay here for a while. Don't think about anything, said Tang Jianfeng. City Lord Tang, as long as there's news about Ming Dao, please inform me. I'll pay for it no matter what the price is. I'll give you whatever you want, Knight Sorrow said. Tang Jianfeng nodded. He was happy for his old friend because it was not easy to have such a disciple. Then Tang Yi took Knight Sorrow to her mansion and arranged a courtyard for Knight Sorrow. Then she went to inform her two brothers. Uncle Xia, now it's up to fate. In the Shenwu Great World, Master's wife has already arranged for people to buy the Ming Dao. The Xuanhuan Great World has also done the same. Whether we can get it or not depends on fate, said Knight Sorrow. Yes. Summer City nodded. He knew that everyone had done everything they could for Qing Emperor. Qing Lin and Qing Wan mentioned going to the constellation White Tiger territory. However, they were stopped by Misty Rain. They did not have the ability to fight beyond their level. Entering the White Tiger territory, there was no possibility of obtaining White Tiger blood. Let alone a monarch-ranked White Tiger. Even a high-level king-ranked White Tiger could kill them. The White Tiger race was a divine beast. They were naturally gifted and possessed the ultimate skill, Western White Tiger Kill. It was easy and simple for them to fight and kill opponents of a higher level. What the Qing Emperor needed now was monarch-ranked White Tiger blood. Qing Lin and Qing Wan did not have this ability. Not to mention relying on numbers. Numbers were meaningless. White Tigers were fast, and numbers were useless. This was one of the reasons why the Qing Emperor's dynasty had not made any moves. Misty Rain had said that if Sandalwood had not entered the Heaven Master realm, there would be a chance. However, once she entered the Heaven Master realm, it was impossible. If a Heaven Master dared to enter the Constellation realm, the White Tiger King would sense it and immediately appear to kill them. Besides, the Constellation realm's world origin did not allow Heaven Masters to enter. This was a protection for the world's creatures. While Knight Sorrow and Summer City were talking, Tang Yi brought Tang Bo and Tang Xian over. You bastard. You didn't even shout when you came. You could have just told any city guard in the city and they would have brought you to my mansion, Tang Xian shouted after arriving. I just got here. I didn't have time to visit you. Sorry, said Knight Sorrow apologetically. It's nothing. Let's go. We'll set up a table in the best restaurant, Tang Xian said with a smile. You're the host. Since you're here, we'll eat and drink. Where's brother Tang Jun? Asked Knight Sorrow. L+new_most. Hurry up. My cousin is different from us. We don't have anything to do. He leads the army and is not usually in the Shenhuang city. Last time, it was my father who took us out to see the world, Tang Bo explained. Understood. Let's go. I haven't tasted the wine of the Shenhuang Great World. I must drink. Knight Sorrow nodded. He understood that everyone's character was different. Tang Bo, Tang Xian, and Tang Yi were all carefree people who did not want to be bound. Even the children of the city lord did not serve as officials of the Xianhuang city. Tang Jun cultivated his Dao by fighting, so he had been leading the army. After arriving at the restaurant, Tang Bo ordered a table full of dishes and the best wine. They drank and chatted. As Tang Bo asked, Knight Sorrow told him the purpose of this trip. Brother Yi, don't worry about this. We'll help you. Ming Dao has appeared and said that he will replace you. We can't guarantee anything because we don't know the price. We can only say that we'll inform you as soon as we have any news, said Tang Bo. Our elders are brothers. Although we don't know them well, we can try. I hope we can be like our elders in the future, said Tang Xian. Knight Sorrow stood up and raised his glass to them. I don't know what to say. It's a bit fake to say that we're brothers. But for now we're friends. We can be brothers. That's the truth. Let's stop talking and drink, said Tang Yi. Then, Tang Xian told Knight Sorrow another piece of news. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion in the Xianhuang city would open in 2 years. Knight Sorrow could come and try. Knight Sorrow was a bit confused because he didn't know what was going on. Your reincarnation world has the Reincarnation Palace. The Xianhuang Great World has the most famous Heaven and Earth Pavilion. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion can't help with cultivation, but it will open every 3 million years. It's a journey of opportunity, a time to compete with strength and luck, said Tang Xian. Then, Tang Bo explained to Knight Sorrow. There were countless spaces in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. There were 99 of them in total. If one could reach the last space, there would be an unexpected reward. It was said that someone had entered the last space but failed the test. He saw the Heavenly God artifact but didn't get it. If there's a chance, I'll have to participate. I'm not from the Xianhuang Great World. Am I qualified? Asked Knight Sorrow. It seems that qualification has nothing to do with strength. It's hard to say. It's the same several times. Those who want to go will be tested by the Xianhuang Light. But I don't know what the test is. I'm confused every time. Tang Xian explained to Knight Sorrow. Yes. After being shrouded by the Xianhuang Light, you won't know anything. If you're qualified, you're qualified. If you're not, you can't enter the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, said Tang Yi. This is too miraculous, Yishan said with some astonishment. Yes. Some monarchs aren't qualified, but Saint Kings might have a chance. As for how it's judged, I'm not sure. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion has existed since the Xianhuang Great World was formed. The interior can be considered a space or an alternate space world, said Tang Bo. Is there a way? Knight Sorrow murmured in a low voice. Here's the second update. There will be 10 updates today. I've said before that I'll stop giving out rewards and updates. But I can't get over it. I feel like I'm letting down my brothers if I don't add updates. Shizi can't do anything shameful. Today's 10 updates are a reward for the Great Demon King's support. Also, with the support of 4 vigor pills, I'll also explode. But I might take a break in between before continuing. Chapter 1303. Under, and BSP, I don't know. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth is the most magical treasure and place in the Black-Yellow Great World. It's like a miniature of the boundless universe. I don't know the details, but if you have strength and luck, you can gain a lot. But it's very dangerous, Tang Yi said. It was dangerous because the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth could only be entered by the original body. Only the original body could enter. In addition, the opening time was different every time. Only the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth could decide when to open and close. In addition, death was death. There was no chance of reincarnation. Both the soul and the energy of the body would become nourishment for the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. That's scary. They don't even give us a chance of reincarnation, Summer City said. The cost is proportional to the gain. If you want to gain something without taking risks, it's not in line with the natural law, Knight Sorrow said after thinking for a while. That's what my father said. But there are many opportunities inside. There are many treasures that can strengthen one's genuine chi and soul, as well as materials for refining elixirs and weapons. My father's current status is inseparable from the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. You know about the glazed golden core, right? Tang Xian looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Head. Yes, I know. I'm an alchemist. Night Sorrow nodded. The glazed golden elixir is an elixir that can only protect one's body temporarily. My father got the glazed fruit and cultivated the glazed golden body with it. That's why he was so strong in combat and became the city lord of the Xianhuang city. Some people have other gains, such as the master of the Wu Ling mountain. He is so powerful that no one can defeat him in a head-on fight. Tang Xian gave Night Sorrow 2 examples. I see. Thank you, Brother Tang. I'll be there when the time comes, Night Sorrow said. Yi Shang did not need any more resources. He had everything he needed, weapons, armor, and elixirs. However, the Azure Supreme the Arch was lacking. The Azure Supreme the Arch lacked the Tao. Other than that, if there were other natural treasures, they might be of help. All right, I'll go to Samsara world to look for you when the time comes. Then we'll go in together, Tang Bo said. After finishing the wine, they returned to Tang Yi's residence. Tang Bo and Tang Xian also stayed in Tang Yi's residence, but they were both resting. Looking at the bright moon rising in the middle of the night, Night Sorrow fell into deep thought. What is your highness thinking about? Summer City asked. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion is sentient. It has the final say in opening and closing. In other words, there are too many unknowns, Night Sorrow said. It's like this. In addition, I can tell your highness that the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth is open to the public. However, other than the people of the great world of Samsara, other cultivators are not willing to enter. Although they have great attraction, they are worried that they will be treated unfairly. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth is an opportunity, but it also requires nurturing and development. Who would be willing to be nurtured? Summer City knew about the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. He had been cultivating for a long time, so he naturally knew about some things. I have to go. When it's time to fight, I have to fight. Night Sorrow made up his mind. Summer City knew that Night Sorrow was fighting for the Qing Emperor. In order to find the right path for the Qing Emperor, he had to fight. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth existed at the beginning of the Black-Yellow Great World. How many Heaven Masters are there in the Black-Yellow Great World now? There should be some in the 100 space worlds of the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. Therefore, Your Highness, you have to think twice, Summer City said after thinking for a while. I understand. Let's talk about this later. Night Sorrow naturally understood the danger. Maybe we will find the right path in 2 years. Summer City said. He knew that if there was a right path, Night Sorrow would not have to take this risk. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow smiled and went to the tea table to make a pot of tea. Uncle Summer, what we are most worried about is the unfairness. However, I don't think it will happen. The origin of a great world should have the boldness that a great world origin should have. The possibility is very low. Even if the possibility is low, who can be sure that it won't happen? If there are some uncontrollable dangers, it will be troublesome, Summer City said. Some time ago, my state of mind was low, which affected the improvement of my cultivation. The reason for the low state of mind is that I lack sharpness and the courage to fight with all my might. As long as I live, I will not stop fighting. This is what I have said before. Night Sorrow handed Summer City a cup of tea and said. Summer City did not say anything else because Night Sorrow had made his attitude clear. After staying in the Bound of Heaven for half a month, Night Sorrow decided to go back. He had achieved his goal and the right path was there. Tang Xian and the others, who knew the situation in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, did not force him to stay. Night Sorrow arrived at the world of transmigration through the teleportation formation. As soon as Night Sorrow stepped out of the teleportation formation, he saw many people eyeing him covetously. Summer City touched the saber at his waist and snorted coldly. Then, he and Night Sorrow stepped into the teleportation formation. These spies were all king, but they were no match for Night Sorrow and Summer City, so they did not dare to make a move. They could only watch Night Sorrow and Summer City swagger away. After returning to the Qing Emperor's city, Night Sorrow found that everything was stable. Your Highness, there are still spies. Summer City found a suspicious person. We don't need to worry about them. Let the Qing Emperor's guards clean them up later. They will be obedient after a few rounds, Night Sorrow said. The overall situation was stable. Night Sorrow did not care about the small things. The celestial sect did not dare to fight head-on. They could even launch sneak attacks. After returning to the Jochong building, Knight Sorrow told Misty Rain what had happened this time. But he did not mention going to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Then, Knight Sorrow went to visit the Qing Emperor. Summer City did not follow him. Knight Sorrow asked Summer City to take the secret guards later and cooperate with the Qing Emperor's guards to clean up the Qing Emperor's city. After Knight Sorrow left, Summer City hesitated for a moment and then told Misty Rain about the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Ming Dao is already on the wanted list. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion may not have it. Summer City is worried that Your Highness will be ostracized and treated unfairly because he is not a member of the Black-Yellow Great World Group. Sister-in-law, please persuade him. Summer City said. Misty Rain thought for a moment and said, It's useless to persuade him. His Majesty's matter is a knot in Knight Sorrow's heart. Let's see what his situation is like in 2 years. If it doesn't work, we can find something for him to do and stagger the time. Summer City said, It's not that Summer City has a good attitude. Summer City thinks that Your Highness will definitely solve this matter in 10,000 years. There's no need to take such a big risk. If Your Highness dies, Your Highness's future will be ruined. Misty Rain nodded. She understood Summer City's idea. Summer City was worried about the Qing Emperor, but she did not want to see something happen to Knight Sorrow. After thinking for a while, Misty Rain's eyes became a bit misty. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion is the manifestation of the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World. The internal space world is strange and changeable. It was formed by reference to the Great Thousand World. It can be said that it's a miniature of the Great Thousand World. It's not so easy to wander around. Knight Sorrow's current state of mind is too stubborn to consider so much. Chapter 1304. Under a wink with a frown, please go to $. Then let's do as you say. Let's see what happens in the next 2 years. Summer City didn't have any good ideas now. After accompanying Qing Emperor for a while, Knight Sorrow returned to 9-story building. He realized that he was a little silly. The Death Obliteration/Clone could be cultivated. Knight Sorrow wanted to cultivate the Death Obliteration/ with the Underworld Stone as the core. With the Underworld Stone he could use it. If the Underworld Stone was on him, he could use it. If the Underworld Stone was on him, he could use it. If it was on his clone, the clone could use it. Once the clone was cultivated, the main body could use the Underworld Stone whenever he needed it. The Underworld Stone wasn't a one-time use treasure. As soon as he thought of it, Knight Sorrow went to the 9-layer building's secret cultivation room and began to refine the Yellow Spring Stone to recognize him as its master. The Underworld Stone was a spiritual treasure produced in the Underworld River. The death energy was very strong. Knight Sorrow's process wasn't very smooth. The death energy rebound was very strong. Fortunately, Knight Sorrow's soul power was of the Supreme Void attribute and could suppress the death energy. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to get it to recognize him as its master. The Underworld Stone wasn't big, but it contained extremely concentrated death energy. If the energy exploded, it would destroy the world. Knight Sorrow used an entire month to refine the Underworld Stone. It was very difficult. Knight Sorrow's face was pale and his soul power was greatly exhausted. Knight Sorrow came out of the secret cultivation room. When he was getting some fresh air, Misty Rain saw him. Knight Sorrow, what's wrong with you? Your soul power is damaged and you can't hide the death energy in your body. Didn't you hide your true body? Mistress, I'm cultivating another absolute art. It's just the beginning and I haven't figured it out yet. I just need to recover. There are almost all the books I want to read. It's much more stable than the average website. The updates are faster and there are no advertisements. Knight Sorrow said. Be careful. There is no one else who can reach your level as a high-level king, Misty Rain said. Knight Sorrow smiled. He was very happy. Being able to refine the Yellow Spring Stone was a great gain. As for the consumption, it was not a big deal. He just needed to recover. After resting for 5 days, Knight Sorrow recovered to his peak state. Next, he began practicing the Great Death Annihilation /. Knight Sorrow naturally wouldn't hide from anyone and run to a secluded place to cultivate. He was in the small training field behind the 9-story building, constantly studying and deducing the cultivation of the Great Death Shattering /. Naturally, This scene could not be hidden from Misty Rain. After observing for a while, Misty Rain left Ninechong Building and went to Seven Night City. Why do you look so pale? Qing Emperor looked at his wife and asked. Night Sorrow is cultivating Datura's Great Death Annihilation / How can this be? How can he have the secret cultivation technique of the Great Death Annihilation / Misty Rain felt extremely uneasy. You're anxious just because of this? Qing Emperor poured a cup of tea for Misty Rain and said with a smile. You're not anxious? Your disciple is cultivating someone else's secret technique. If Datura didn't take out the secret technique, how could Night Sorrow have cultivated it? Misty Rain stared at Qing Emperor and said, I know. It must have been given by Datura. Qing Emperor nodded. Then why aren't you anxious? Datura taught your disciple a secret technique. Aren't you going to ask him about it? Misty Rain was a bit agitated because Night Sorrow was the pillar of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. If he was taken away by someone else, it would be a fatal blow to the Qing Emperor's dynasty. There are some things you don't know. Datura taught Night Sorrow his secret technique. They are engaged, Qing Emperor said. What? They are engaged? Qing Shangjuan, are you kidding? Misty Rain's eyes were wide open. I'm not kidding. They are engaged. Night Sorrow will go to the Dark Abyss to propose marriage when he reaches the monarch stage. Not many people know about this, so I didn't tell you. You should keep it to yourself. Also, be generous and trust your child more, Qing Emperor said to his wife. You are very calm. I like this kid, so I was worried that Datura would take him away. I just didn't expect this. Misty Rain was still emotional. You still don't know Night Sorrow well. When he first came to the Qing Emperor's dynasty, he didn't know me, so I gave him some advice. Then, I announced that I wanted to take him as my disciple. What did he mean? He said that if I was willing to take him in as a disciple, he hoped to receive my guidance, not yours, Emperor Qing said. He remembered everything that had happened back then very clearly. I'm not as generous as you are, but I won't mistrust him like this in the future. It's not that I don't trust him. I'm just anxious, Misty Rain explained. If Night Sorrow can master the Great Death / with the Great Emperor Samsara / I taught him, he will be able to fight well. Take it slow. He will grow. Besides, Datura is very generous. He didn't fight with us for Night Sorrow, and he didn't make things difficult for Night Sorrow either. That's a favor, Qing Emperor said. Original version. Fequels, Shangjun, I'm sorry. Are you angry that I wasn't with you all these years? Misty Rain asked. She was touched when she heard about Night Sorrow and Datura. I'm not angry. I'm just worried. It's good that you're back, Qing Emperor said. Everyone is impulsive sometimes. I wasn't calm enough back then, Misty Rain said apologetically. It's all in the past. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back, Qing Emperor said with a smile. It's good that you call it good? Look at you now. However, you've taken in 2 good disciples. Sandalwood will be able to take charge in the future. Night Sorrow is more determined. He went to the Xuanhuan Great World some time ago and offered a reward for you. He was even willing to take out the skeleton of the mysterious Ice Unicorn Tiger King. However, I didn't agree because it would be a big deal. It wouldn't be good even if there was a reward. It could easily lead to bad consequences, Misty Rain said. This kid is a little too excited. If possible, he would be willing to give up everything he has. As for the skeleton of the ice dragon, it's not that he doesn't want to give it up. It's because he's friends with the ice dragons. He's worried that the skeleton of the ice dragon would be used as a material and be desecrated, Qing Emperor said. He knew Night Sorrow very well. He's now eyeing the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth will open in 2 years. If he wants to go, we'll find a reason to arrange something for him and make him miss the opening. As for your injury, I'll think of a way. I really can't bear to let a kid risk his life, Misty Rain said. You make the arrangements. I've lived for so many years and have experienced life and death. I've already seen through life and death. I can't drag a kid down with me. However, you've really changed. You're not as willful as before, Qing Emperor said. After being trapped in the alternate space for so many years, I've thought through everything. I was too willful back then. By the way, there's something I don't understand. Who is Datura Datura? He's not only powerful, but he's also very arrogant. Why would he be engaged to Night Sorrow? I'm not saying that Night Sorrow isn't good enough. He's just too young. The two of them shouldn't have crossed paths, Misty Rain said. Chapter 1305. Some things can't be explained clearly. It's fate. I think the two of them are very suitable for each other. Although Datura Datura is willful and overbearing, there are things that she shouldn't do. Not to mention Night Sorrow, he's very tolerant. They are indeed very suitable for each other, Qing Emperor said with a smile. The two of them are involved, and no one would believe me if I told them about the engagement. They are two people who shouldn't have crossed paths in the first place. Heavenly Monarch Yufei sat down and calmed down a bit. We are husband and wife, so let's not hide it. You know what it means to have a supreme attribute. Night Sorrow has a supreme attribute. I support him because we are master and disciple. If Datura Datura knows about it, does she have a choice? She can either kill him or support him. If she supports him, how can she maintain the relationship? It's impossible for them to be master and disciple because Night Sorrow doesn't want to be master and disciple. So, on the basis that they are kindred spirits, an engagement is the best way, Qing Emperor said. I understand. I heard from Summer City that Zhan Taiyang came to catch Night Sorrow once. You are worried that he knows something, so you want to kill him at all costs, right? Misty Rain said. You know me well. I don't want to provoke the Celestial Sect, but Zhan Taiyang must die. Even if he ran to the Celestial Sect, he was destined to die from the moment he set his eyes on Night Sorrow. Qing Emperor nodded. I understand. You are master and disciple. We are husband and wife. I also drank tea from his wife. We will be on the same side in the future, Misty Rain said. You can come back in time and have such a change. Isn't it fate? Qing Emperor exhaled and sighed with emotion. Night Sorrow was in the martial arts arena of the 9 grand floors. Sometimes he would wield the space splitter. Sometimes, he would lower his head and ponder. This was because he had to constantly perfect the cultivation of the Great Death Obliteration / Cultivation techniques and absolute arts were not something that could be mastered just because one had a secret cultivation technique. They had to be constantly revised. Night Sorrow's deathly annihilation / grew increasingly powerful as he continued to cultivate himself. As he brandished Space Splitter, a black halo of light rippled outwards. That was the area affected by the deathly annihilation / Enveloped by the black halo of light, the target's soul power and space-time around them would be affected. Take shape. After cultivating for 7 days, Night Sorrow managed to form the Great Death Obliteration / However, it was only a form. If he wanted to cultivate it to maturity, it would take some time. In addition, Night Sorrow discovered that the Underworld Stone was a rare treasure. After the death energy was exhausted, it could quickly absorb the energy of heaven and earth to recover. Night Sorrow understood that it was not easy for Datura Datura to get the Underworld Stone. She could also use it herself. Night Sorrow would chat with Datura Datura when he had time. However, he did so behind the scenes. He did not want to be ostentatious or cause any criticism. Datura Datura was very appreciative of Night Sorrow's cultivation results. This was because she knew how difficult it was to cultivate the Great Death Obliteration / The days of cultivation passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Night Sorrow had completely mastered the Great Death Obliteration / At this time, he had 2 absolute arts. In addition, after accelerated cultivation under the care of the Samsara Palace, his will of nothingness had reached the peak of the 7-star king. His will of time and space had also reached the late stage of the 6-star king. His strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Sandalwood also came out of seclusion. He had cultivated in the time-accelerated treasure for 5 years. After stabilizing his realm, he had successfully cultivated the leakless true body and refined a drop of soul cultivation fluid. He was anxious because the situation was not stable. He used his will to force the soul cultivation fluid to absorb it. It took him a lot of effort to refine a drop. Absorbing it at high intensity and speed was his limit. Night Sorrow was very happy when Sandalwood came out of seclusion. He held a banquet for him. The banquet was held in the small lakeside house of Seven Night City. Master, it was my incompetence that caused you to be severely injured. I will take revenge for this. Sandalwood looked at Qing Emperor and said, It's nothing. Qing Emperor smiled and shook his head. He was very happy to see his two disciples. See it for free forever. Q. After a few more days, I will go and take Ling Tian's dog life. Sandalwood's eyes were filled with killing intent. There's no rush. You're a little impatient. You should discuss this with your junior brother. Qing Emperor said. Mistress, I'm very sorry. I didn't take good care of Master when you weren't around. Sandalwood bowed to Misty Rain. You're still the same. No matter how unhappy Mistress is, you're always respectful. Mistress drank your junior brother's tea, but she didn't drink yours. Misty Rain said. Sandalwood was stunned. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, Junior brother, my tea can't be drunk. Help me brew a pot. Night Sorrow nodded. He brewed a pot of tea and lit an incense. Sandalwood knelt on one knee. He held the tea in front of Misty Rain and said, Mistress, please have some tea. Taking the tea, Mistress of Flying Rain looked at Sandalwood and said, Mistress has been prejudiced against you for countless years. She has made things difficult for you and made things difficult for you. Mistress of Flying Rain feels bad for you. Mistress of Flying Rain, drink this cup of tea and let go of the knot in your heart. Everything is over. After speaking, Heavenly Lord Yufei drank the tea and helped Sandalwood up. Mistress, you're thinking too much. Master adopted me. In my heart, Master is my father. Mistress is my family. I don't mind scolding you. Sandalwood shook his head. After the banquet, Sandalwood showed up at Qing Emperor's imperial court. She defeated martial god Shi Yang, who was stationed in the world of reincarnation. Only then did she go into seclusion for the second time. This was a big deal. Blood Emperor Sandalwood fought against Celestial Sex Heaven Master Puppet for the first time. She defeated martial god Shi Yang for the second time. Everyone knew her name even if they didn't want to. Everyone knew that as time passed, Sandalwood would become stronger and stronger. Although the top powers still surrounded the East District of the world of reincarnation, no one dared to act rashly. The Qing Emperor's imperial court was too strong. This was because something had happened to the Qing Emperor. If nothing had happened to the Qing Emperor, the Qing Emperor's imperial court would be invincible in the world of reincarnation. The situation was stable. Night Sorrow cultivated hard. He still remembered the time. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion opened. A year had passed and there were no clues about the clear Tao. Night Sorrow knew that no one had the clear Tao. He had to fight for it and find it. There were many rare treasures in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Therefore, Night Sorrow placed his hopes in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion was dangerous. Strength was important. Night Sorrow's original body cultivated and comprehended realms. His doppelganger cultivated battle techniques, studied arrays and created array discs. What made Night Sorrow happy was that the Nine Regions world had completed its evolution. It had evolved into a high-level world. Its surface area had expanded without anyone noticing. Its borders and boundaries had expanded infinitely. Now, its surface area was no smaller than the Heaven Mystic world. However, under Night Sorrow's influence, the layout of the Nine Regions world did not change much. It was only the outer boundaries that expanded infinitely. Chapter 1306. _ It has almost all the books you want to read. It's much more stable than ordinary websites. It updates faster and has no advertisements. The world and the sector lord complemented each other. When the Nine Regions world became a high-level world, the Nine Regions origin became stronger. It could help Night Sorrow's soul cultivation increase at any time. The Nine Regions world origin bead was with the doppelganger, so it couldn't help the original body improve the soul power. Night Sorrow's original body had no choice but to communicate with the Samsara Palace and apologize. It's okay. It's within the rules. Just let me know if you need anything. The origin of the Samsara Palace was not impatient. After receiving the Nine Regions world origin bead from the doppelganger, Night Sorrow's original body started to cultivate again. Cultivators were divided into chi refinement and body refinement, but they were actually divided into two parts. One was the soul and the other was the body. With the replenishment of energy from the 9 regions world origin bead, Night Sorrow's soul cultivation increased at a terrifying speed. Night Sorrow's doppelganger returned to the 9 layers building and started to study the formation plate because it was a way to protect himself. When he was tired from cultivation, Night Sorrow sometimes went home. Sometimes, he went to Datura Datura to see Datura Datura in the dark abyss. Datura Datura felt that it was inconvenient to meet in the Dragon Bone Palace, so he built a small courtyard not far from the dark abyss. When Night Sorrow went there, they met and talked in the small courtyard. Datura Datura also knew that Night Sorrow was going to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. I don't know if other people will be discriminated against or plotted against when they go to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, but I don't think any life of the way of heaven will deliberately set you up. You have a body of merit, so the consequences of setting you up are very serious. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion is the manifestation of the origin of the black-yellow great world. Advertisement. Datura Datura was a life of the way of heaven, so he knew more than ordinary people. That's fine. I'm not afraid with my ability, Night Sorrow said. No matter what, I will support you. Datura Datura nodded. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He knew that this was Datura Datura. Although she was a woman, she did things with a heroic spirit that ordinary men did not have. Usually, when she was beside him, she was gentle like water. They were two extremes. After staying for half a day, Night Sorrow left. He was now the core of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. There were still some things that he had to deal with. After returning to the 9 stories building, Night Sorrow saw that the core members of the god-slaying team were all present. Why do you have time to see me? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. 13th brother, we plan to join the 9 Heavens army and fight alongside the army. Tianyu said. At this time, Tianyu's face was full of heroic spirit. After many years of cultivation and settling down, he was no longer the naive youth who had just taken human form. Why do you have such thoughts? Yi Mei, do you think so too? Night Sorrow asked. 13th brother, this is not the idea of just Tianyu and I. It is the idea of all the members of the team. The weakest member of the god-slaying team is a high-level saint, and the strongest is not far from comprehending will. So, merit points are especially needed. In addition, we also need to use actual combat to train ourselves, Yi Mei said. Captain, this is the decision of all of us, Ho Jian said. That's fine. I'll talk to Nu Lin later. You guys will join the Nu Lin army and form a team. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. Captain, the cultivation of the members of the god-slaying team has increased rapidly. I can no longer be the vice-captain. Today, I came to ask if I can join the 9 Heavens army. The other reason is that I want to take over the vice-captain position, Xueling said. It seems that the god-slaying team has changed a lot during the time I haven't asked about you. Tell me about it. Yi Shan nodded. Xueling then told Xueling his thoughts. He planned to retire and let Long Jin take over as the captain. Long Jin went out with you, but he didn't join the god-slaying team, right? Night Sorrow asked. We've discussed and invited Long Jin to join the god-slaying team. Long Jin has been a member for a long time, Xueling said. I don't want to be the vice-captain. I just want to train with all of you and fight with my brothers. I don't mean anything else. Long Jin was puzzled because he didn't know about this. You're now a 2-star king. In the absence of the captain, you can lead your brothers better. In the god-slaying team, the vice-captain is not a leader. He just leads everyone well. Now you can do that, Xueling said. Yes, the vice-captain exists to take care of his brothers. I can't do it now either. I'll let Yun Huang or Liang Yu take over. They're both peak saint kings. I'm still a bit lacking. They and Long Jin can lead the god-slaying team better, Ho Jian said. What a big change. We'll hold a banquet at the training ground tonight. I haven't drunk with everyone in a long time. I'll also solve some problems. Manager He, please make the arrangements, Night Sorrow said to He Chiu. After Long Jin and the others left, Night Sorrow took out his alchemy cauldron and started making pills. He hadn't prepared resources for the god-slaying team for a while. Commander, they're the elites of the 9 regions world. After they rose, they became the backbone of the 9 regions world, Jun Xuanji said. Previous #BF. They're all my brothers. They have an unyielding fighting spirit in their hearts. What's limiting their achievements might be their talent, but it's not their beliefs or willpower. I'll buy the materials for the spirit accumulation pill and the spirit perception pill. If my brothers work hard, I'll help them, Night Sorrow said. Jun Xuanji nodded. Others might not know, but she knew the relationship between Night Sorrow and the God-Slaying team. Back in the Nine Regions world, the God-Slaying team had followed Night Sorrow to conquer the world. In the evening, a few large tables were set up at the training ground for a banquet. When Night Sorrow arrived, all the members of the God-Slaying team stood up. Those who were outside had also returned, including Qin Zhen, Guan Yi, and Ren Tianji. Ren Tianji had also joined later. Brothers, I'm sorry. I haven't asked about the God-Slaying team during this time. I'm not a qualified captain, but I won't resign. I'll be responsible for all of you to the end because we'll be brothers for life, Night Sorrow said to the group. What responded to Night Sorrow was the sound of someone knocking on their chest armor. The original vice-captains, Xueling and Hou Jian, no longer want to be vice-captains. I won't force them because they're under pressure. They don't dare to be careless when leading their brothers. It's really tiring. In the future, the God-Slaying team will have 3 vice-captains. Long Jin, Liang Yu, and Yun Huang. The 3 of you will lead everyone to explore the world. Nan Liua. This is a resource. The usage of the pills inside is very clear. As long as anyone needs it, just give it out. Sovereign King. Your goal is to become a sovereign king. What I, Yi Shang, can do is to help you walk on the path of becoming a sovereign king. Yi Shang gave Nan Liua a storage ring and said. The members of the God-Slaying team bowed to Night Sorrow. Liang Yu, Yun Huang. The 2 of you have good talent. It's just that you haven't cultivated for long. If you work hard, the path of the king is right in front of you, Night Sorrow said to Liang Yu and Yun Huang. Chapter 1307. Liang Yu and Yun Huang nodded. The 2 of them had worked very hard these past few years. Coupled with their good talent, they had already surpassed the older generation of the Nine Regions world and reached the peak of the Saint King realm. The only ones they could not compare to were Tian Yu and Yi Mei. There was a difference in talent. Of course, the members of the God-Slaying team put in several times more effort than ordinary cultivators. They cultivated in the pagoda of time and space, then went out to fight and stabilize their cultivation. Then they came back and cultivated again. It was a cycle of high intensity. The members of the God-Slaying team also knew that their current achievements mostly came from Night Sorrow's support, the pagoda of time and space, and the unlimited supply of resources. Others didn't have such conditions. Hard work came second when they had conditions. It's been a long time since I drank with my brothers. It's not that I've forgotten everyone, and it's not that I'm king and don't want to drink with everyone. There's just too many things. These years, one thing after another has happened. I can't stop it all, Night Sorrow explained. Brother 13, we all understand you. All these years, we worked hard to cultivate. Part of it was for our personal achievements, but most of it was because we wanted to share some of your burdens. We can still kill enemies together, Tianyu said. I understand. Right now, my original body is cultivating in the Samsara Palace in the world of Samsara. I need the pagoda of time and space to speed up. When I can give it to everyone, I'll take it out, Night Sorrow explained. 13. You're the pillar of the Nine Regions world. Your achievements will determine the status of the Nine Regions world. So you have to take care of yourself first, Guan Yi said to Night Sorrow. Senior brother, are you used to the Dark Abyss? Night Sorrow asked. Used to it? Haha. You can ask the Qin Zhen. In terms of status, we are respected, but during training, it's torture, Guan Yi said with a bitter smile. An old man looked at the 2 of us and gave us a big leather whip. If we didn't do well, he would give us a big leather whip. However, after we cultivated, we were treated very well. The commander of the army we stayed in was very polite to us, Qin Zhen said with a smile. That's for your own good. It's difficult for others to have this opportunity. Whether you 2 want to stay there or come back, it's up to you, Night Sorrow said with a smile. He understood that this was all arranged by Datura. First message while drinking, Night Sorrow was very happy. Because of his good mood, Lei Bao, Lei Zhang, and Hou Jian were all drunk by Night Sorrow. Dizzy from drinking, Night Sorrow staggered back to the 9 grand floors to rest. Night Sorrow went to rest, but there were still people in the Hall of the 9 Grand Floors. Misty Rain was talking to her children, and Summer City was there as well. Imperial Mother, Junior Marshal Brother doesn't look like a proper person. What His Highness? He's drunk so much, Qing Wan said with a smile. He's actually still young. It's good for him to relax sometimes. It's good for him to settle down, Misty Rain said. It's not like that. Those 40 or so people are His Highness brothers. When His Highness was still a venerable, they followed His Highness to conquer the profound mysteries realm and the nether realm. They all made great contributions. In His Highness' heart, he hopes that these brothers can achieve great things. Today, he saw that these people are doing well, so he's happy, said Xia Cheng. This is true temperament. It's rare and precious. However, it's good to have a group of brothers who can drink whenever they want. Misty Rain said with a smile. Sister-in-law actually, Summer City admires His Highness the most. With so many brothers and countless battles, no one has fallen. This is very difficult, Summer City said. I have to admire this. When Junior Marshal Brother led the army, the casualties were the least. He crippled more than 10 troops of the Dark Army and destroyed 2 troops of the Red Emperor's empire. All our losses added up to only 1 army, which is less than 1/10 of the enemy's. This is also the biggest reason why Junior Marshal Brother is respected in the Qing Emperor's empire. Qing Wan nodded. Learn from him. Although you might not be able to do so well, at least have the heart to improve, Misty Rain said to her daughter. Imperial Mother has changed too. She didn't scold us in the past, Qing Wan said to Misty Rain. If you don't listen, then scold. There's no harm in learning from your eldest senior marshal brother and little junior marshal brother, Misty Rain said. After sleeping for a while, Knight Sorrow woke up early. Then, he cultivated in the martial arts practice field and cultivated his ultimate skills. As the original body's soul power in the space-time treasure pagoda increased, the power of Knight Sorrow's ultimate skills increased again. The strength of a high-level cultivator was largely dependent on their soul power. Why was the Divine Knight Monarch the overlord of the 9 Firmament World Group? Why did Dachura's strength soar after using the soul cultivation liquid? It was because he refined the soul cultivation liquid and increased his soul power. With a strong soul power, the power of many battle skills would increase. The 9-domain world's origin emitted energy that could increase soul power for Knight Sorrow to cultivate. Naturally, Knight Sorrow's soul power increased rapidly. Monarch's strength, Misty Rain said as she watched Knight Sorrow cultivate. Even if he doesn't use his ultimate skills, his normal attacks are at my level, Qing Wan, who had been by Misty Rain's side all this time, said. Yes, if he reaches the Star King realm, he will be invincible below the Sky Master level. When he is at the Monarch realm, he will have hope to fight against the Sky Master level giants. However, that will depend on his own ultimate skills. The power of his trump card determines the strength of his combat power. Your father is very good at recruiting disciples. Sandalwood is invincible among those at the same level. This guy can fight above his level. Very good. Misty Rain nodded. She was now thinking whether she should stop Knight Sorrow from going to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. After cultivating for a while, Knight Sorrow made tea. After brewing it, before Knight Sorrow could bring it over, Misty Rain and Qing Wan came over. Mistress, Senior Marshal Sister, sit. Heart-cleansing tea, it's not bad, Knight Sorrow said. Heart-cleansing tea is not bad. There are many famous teas in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, but it's not as good as yours, Qing Wan said. Actually, I still have some good teas. However, it's only good when I use it with cultivation, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Better than heart-cleansing tea? Don't joke around. Qing Wan looked at Knight Sorrow and said, soul-nurturing tea can nourish the soul. Senior Marshal Sister, don't you think it's the best tea? Knight Sorrow said. Soul-nurturing tea? Is it related to the soul-nurturing liquid? Qing Wan looked at Knight Sorrow and asked in surprise. Yes, it's related to the soul-nurturing liquid. The difference is that the soul-nurturing liquid can only be used by monarchs, but the soul-nurturing tea can be drunk by anyone. Therefore, I'm drinking the tea to cultivate now. I'll leave some for Mistress and Senior Marshal Sister, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Sigh, you rascal. If you didn't have a few virtuous wives who are as beautiful as jade, even I would want to give Qing Wan to you, Heavenly Monarch Yufei said. Mistress, you're joking, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Have Qing Wan as his wife? Night Sorrow felt that it was torture. Chapter 1308. Qing Wan was very outstanding. She was beautiful, had a good figure, and had a good temperament, but her personality was a bit strange. Night Sorrow even thought that whoever married Qing Wan in the future would be unlucky and would be tortured to death. Either she had a bad temper, or she would be sick of people. It would be very uncomfortable. It was not worth it to be tortured in life just for a moment of happiness. What kind of eyes are you looking at? You don't like me, but I don't like you. Qing Wan glared at Night Sorrow. Ha ha ha. Night Sorrow could only laugh. He could not say that he liked her, nor could he say that he did not like her. Night Sorrow, to tell you the truth, your master and I do not agree with you going because it is too dangerous, so don't be too tired from training. In 10,000 years, do you think we can't solve your master's problem? We can. We definitely can. Misty Rain said. When I was young, I was separated from my parents and lived in Bamboo Garden Village. I was a hunter and relied on my father Gugu for survival. However, my father Gugu told me that one must be responsible for everything. Later on, when I embarked on the journey of cultivation, I understood another principle. Being responsible for everything is a character, and at the same time, it is also one's nature. Only by doing this can one's heart be flawless. On the matter of master, I feel guilty in my heart. Although I have lived for a short time, I have never done anything that I cannot face. Therefore, I can face everything, face myself and face my heart. Night Sorrow did not refute Misty Rain's words, but only spoke of his own philosophy. Misty Rain looked at Night Sorrow and did not know how to refute. Junior brother, we can solve the matter of Father Emperor. It is not in the short term. Qing Wan said. On this matter, senior sister Qing Wan and senior brother Qing Lin did not blame me, but I can't live with myself. When I do things, as long as there is a chance, I do not want to give up. This way, I will never regret it. I will never regret it because of my own hesitation and missing out on something. Master's wife, senior sister, you all drink tea. I will go and train. Night Sorrow carried Lai Kong and went to the martial arts practice field. What kind of stubbornness is this? Qing Wan muttered. This is not stubbornness. Qing Wan is right. This is character and quality. In fact, the deepest feeling I've had these days is to understand some quality and spirit. What your junior brother has is what many people lack. I don't know how to deal with this matter. Misty Rain sighed and said. After that, Misty Rain told Qing Wan what Qing Emperor felt from Yi Qingyan and Yi Yujun. Imperial Father is right. Because of our high birth status, we have become dependent. Mother, I will work hard in the future. When Qing Wan heard Misty Rain's words, she felt a little embarrassed. Every day, Night Sorrow would study the absolute arts. He would alternate between the two absolute arts without conflicting with each other. As his soul power increased, the Great Emperor Samsara / and Great Death Annihilation / became more and more powerful. However, as time passed, the opening of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion was getting closer and closer. Night Sorrow was also very confident. Although the will of nothingness hadn't evolved, the will of time and space had improved by leaps and bounds. It had entered the 7-star King Realm and entered the High King Realm. This had allowed Night Sorrow's battle strength to increase once again. If cultivating the body made Night Sorrow's strength tyrannical, and cultivating the chi of nothingness made his chi tyrannical, then the advancement of the will of time and space increased his speed. In a battle, speed was one of the most important factors to victory. It was also a life-saving method. Misty Rain also noticed Night Sorrow's improvement and immediately felt that the heavens were fair. The harder one worked, the luckier one would be. This was very suitable for Night Sorrow. After finishing another cultivation, Night Sorrow went to Misty Rain and said, Mistress, my strength has improved again. Can you not stop me? Misty Rain said, Mistress, I don't know what to say. If it's just a clone, then it's fine. But going to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion requires the original body. My original body and clone will go together. If we have to fight, then we'll cut off all means of retreat. Night Sorrow's determination was very strong. In fact, even without this restriction, he would have made this decision. This was because he had two skills. His original body and clone could use different skills at the same time. His original body could use the Death Destruction slash, and his clone could use the Great Emperor Reincarnation slash. When the two skills attacked together, the power and lethality were shocking. Knight Sorrow felt that whether it was his original body or his clone, they both had the power to fight against an overlord. If they used the two skills at the same time, there was a chance they could kill an overlord. Okay, then let's gamble. This is Mistress's protective treasure. Mistress will remove the ownership. Take it. Overlord Yufei took out a shield that was shining with green light. No need. My original body and clone both have protective treasures. Master also helped me make the 9 heavy armor. I don't lack anything. Knight Sorrow quickly rejected. Do you really have it? You don't have to be so polite with Mistress. Overlord Yufei looked at Knight Sorrow and said, my clone has the Dragon Cauldron. My original body also uses a defensive treasure, the Time Pagoda. Knight Sorrow waved his arm and the Dragon Cauldron appeared behind him. Seeing that Knight Sorrow had a protective treasure, Overlord Yufei nodded and didn't say anything else. She couldn't stop Knight Sorrow's belief. Knight Sorrow had done everything he could. Feeling that it was about time, Knight Sorrow's original body stopped cultivating and greeted Samsara Palace. You have a lot of room for improvement now. You haven't reached a bottleneck, have you? The origin of Samsara Palace appeared. It was a kind elder. I also want to continue cultivating, but there are some things that I have to do. This is my responsibility. As long as Knight Sorrow is alive, I will definitely do what I promised you. Knight Sorrow said, young man, tell me what you have to do. Actually, according to your strength, you will have the capital to settle down when you cultivate to the monarch realm. With the supreme attribute and strong soul power, the world's most powerful giants can't hurt you. The weapon spirit of Samsara Palace, or rather, the origin of Samsara world, said, I want to go to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. I want to see if there is a Tao in the 100 worlds of Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Knight Sorrow told the origin of Samsara world the reason. Heaven and Earth Pavilion. That is the root of Shenhuang world. It is very complicated. You will be in great danger if you go there. Do you know why this Heaven and Earth Pavilion opens every once in a while? The origin of Samsara world looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. Forever, free of charge. Knight Sorrow shook his head. He really didn't know about these things. Kill some and cultivate some. This is the way the origin of Shenhuang world does things. People from other worlds don't dare to go there because it will really destroy them and arrange difficulties that are hard to resist. However, you won't have a big problem. You have the body of merit, so it should have a laissez-faire attitude towards you. It won't target you. However, you have to remember that because you have the body of merit and supreme attribute, it may have a request for you. You don't have to agree because it won't directly touch you. The origin of Samsara world said. Request. Senior, this can't be. There are a lot of giants in Shenhuang world. What would it ask of me? Knight Sorrow said. You don't understand. You are too young and have little experience. It's not that you have little experience. It's just that there are some things that people don't know. The body of merit is very important. Go. Strive to be the best. The origin of Samsara world said. Chapter 1309. It's my responsibility this time. I'll come back to cultivate after I'm done, Knight Sorrow said. This is the power of the origin. If the origin of Heaven and Earth Pavilion really turns against you, you'll definitely die. This power of the origin can protect your original soul. In this way, you'll have a chance to reincarnate or rebuild your body. The origin of reincarnation waved its hand, and a power of the origin entered Knight Sorrow's body. Thank you, Senior. Then I'll leave some flesh and blood. Because my cultivation method is special, my body is indestructible. As long as I have the power of the soul, I can rebuild my body. Knight Sorrow waved his hand and cut off one of his arms. Then the energy in his body exploded, and another arm grew out. Good. In this way, as long as your soul isn't destroyed, you'll never have to worry about dying. The origin of reincarnation sent out energy to wrap Knight Sorrow's arm and hide it in the void. Senior, I'll leave now. I still have some time in the reincarnation palace. I'll come back to cultivate later, Knight Sorrow said. Okay, this place is open to you at any time. But you have to fight for your own cultivation time. When you stand in front of the reincarnation palace and shout out how much you want, others have to give it to you. That's what you're capable of. The origin of Reincarnation Palace nodded. Then Knight Sorrow left the Reincarnation Palace and took back the Reincarnation Token. Time accelerated by 2 years, which was equivalent to 40 years of cultivation. 3 times the consumption meant 120 years. Knight Sorrow's original 600 years of cultivation time in the Reincarnation Palace still had 480 years left. After leaving the Reincarnation Palace, Knight Sorrow walked toward the teleportation formation. Before he reached the teleportation formation, Knight Sorrow was surrounded by people from the Celestial Sect. 6 or 7 of them were high-level King Realm cultivators. Kill. The people of the Celestial Sect started killing without a second word. This was because Ling Tian had given his disciples an order to kill Yi Shang on sight. Knight Sorrow kept attacking with the Void Extreme Kill, Emperor Reincarnation / and Soul Destruction /. In just a moment, these King Realm cultivators were killed by Knight Sorrow. After collecting their storage rings and weapons, Yi Shang went to the transmission formation. Although there were other people from the Celestial Sect, Yi Shang had already gone to the transmission formation. At this time, the guards of the Samsara Palace had already unsheathed their sabers. Whoever fought in the transmission formation would be killed. The inter-realm transmission formation could not be damaged. Looking at Yi Shang's true body, Heavenly Monarch Yufei said, "The energy contained in your true body is close to that of a monarch. I cultivate my body. My original body is stronger than my clone." Knight Sorrow nodded. Then, Knight Sorrow took out the Samsara. He wanted to upgrade the Samsara. Although it was a King Realm weapon, there was still a lot of room for improvement. In 4 days, Knight Sorrow completed the upgrade of the Samsara and made it a top King Realm weapon. After getting used to the effect of the Samsara, Knight Sorrow felt that it was enough. Then, Knight Sorrow decided to go home and spend some time with his family. After resting for a month, Knight Sorrow returned to the 9 floors. He planned to go out because the Heaven and Earth Pavilion was about to open. Before Knight Sorrow left, Tang Bo arrived. He came to inform Knight Sorrow that the Heaven and Earth Pavilion would open in half a month. Knight Sorrow decided to leave. "Knight Sorrow, can't you not go?" Misty Rain asked. "Don't worry, mistress. There won't be any problems. I have some backup plans," Knight Sorrow said. "All right then, let's go. Safety is the most important thing. Remember, we have time. It doesn't matter if we don't get it," Misty Rain said. Then, Knight Sorrow left and teleported to the world of Samsara with Tang Bo. This time, Knight Sorrow didn't bring anyone with him. He didn't bring Summer City or Ice Qilin. Tang Bo brought his guards. When the people of the Celestial Sect saw Knight Sorrow, they didn't do anything because Tang Bo's guards were monarchs. Vi-On and Knight Sorrow and the others teleported from Samsara City to Xianhuang City through the teleportation formation. At this time, Xianhuang City was very lively because a grand event of the Xianhuang Great World was about to take place. The top forces of the Xianhuang Great World all sent people to participate. A large number of cultivators from the surrounding worlds also came. Knight Sorrow went to Tang Bo's mansion. Tang Bo and the others also wanted to participate because they also wanted to fight. For the people of the Xianhuang Great World, entering the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth was an opportunity. Although there was a possibility of death, they still had to fight. All the cultivators had this opportunity. Tang Yi and Tang Bo went, but Tang Xian didn't because he was a monarch. There was no need for him to fight. However, even if acquaintances went in, they couldn't form a team in the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. After entering, they would be swept away by the energy of the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. It was hard to say which world they would enter or where they would land. Space magic treasures couldn't carry lives. Even the origin of Samsara could detect it. That was to say, entering the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth depended on one's own ability. For Knight Sorrow, this was his favorite mode. Most of the time he flew alone. It was more casual and he didn't have to worry about anything. There was no information to check in the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth, nor any experience to learn from. Every time someone went in, it was different. It was full of unknowns and challenges. Knight Sorrow didn't feel afraid. Instead, he felt excited. Knight Sorrow wanted to fight. He had a backup plan. Even if something happened to his original body, he wouldn't be doomed eternally. His soul wouldn't die and return to the world of samsara. He could rely on that arm to regenerate his body. It just needed some time. Tang Bo and Tang Yi were a little uneasy. Night Sorrow, aren't you worried? Tang Yi looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Why should I be worried? Since I've decided to go, I'll face it calmly. The result is the same whether I'm worried or not, Night Sorrow said. After resting for a few days, Night Sorrow and the other two set out. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth was located in the south of Xianhuang City. After flying for a while, the three of them arrived at the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth was a pavilion with dozens of floors. The upper half of it was in the clouds. It had an aura that suppressed everything. It was magnificent and majestic. Normally, the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth is a very small pavilion, but no one can get close to it. It only becomes like this when it's open, Tang Yi explained. At this time, Tang Jianfeng appeared in front of the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth and announced some rules. He was allowed to use all kinds of magic treasures. He was allowed to bring his doppelganger with him, but the doppelganger would be killed if he went alone. Even if he hid his cultivation, he would be killed. This was an iron rule that forbade Heaven Masters from entering. Brother Yi, take care. After we go in, no one knows what will happen. We can only protect ourselves first. With so many people going in, we might run into each other. If we don't have any friendship with each other, we'll be enemies, Tang Yi said. The same goes for you too. If you think you can't do it, you can hide in the space treasure and wait until the opening time is over, Night Sorrow said. Same for Brother Yi. Tang Yi nodded. Night Sorrow shook his head. He was different. He had a reason to fight. Chapter 13:10. It was the only authentic one, and the rest were all pirated copies. Tang Jianfeng then emphasized the mortality rate. Half of the people would die, and those who didn't come out after 3 months would have a 50% chance of dying. There was a chance to withdraw in the first 3 months, but after 3 months, the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth would close and send them out. After everything was said, Tang Jianfeng asked all the participating cultivators to wait in front of the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth for the inspection of the Xianhuang light. In addition, they had to pay 100 Saint Spirit Stones. Regardless of whether they were qualified to enter or not, the 100 Saint Spirit Stones were the registration fee. This was a rule set by the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth a long time ago. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth needed energy to operate, and so did the Xianhuang light. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth was called the Xianhuang light. 100 Saint Spirit Stones was nothing to cultivators above the Saint King realm, but there were many people, so it was still a large sum of Saint Spirit Stones. Many people came to participate, numbering in the tens of thousands. There are so many people who aren't afraid of death, Night Sorrow muttered. Everyone has different thoughts. Many people go in with the idea of the first 3 months. They will retreat when there is danger, and they won't die. It's a journey of opportunity. My brother and I will go in to see the situation. If we can't handle it, we will also retreat early, Tang Yi said. Actually, many people think the same way. If they don't reach a bottleneck, go crazy, or have a lot of confidence, they won't last for more than 3 months, Tang Bo added. While the three of them were chatting, the participants walked to the square one after another. The officials of Xianhuang City collected the Saint Spirit Stones one by one. Yi Shang and the other two also walked towards the plaza. Tang Bo didn't even need Yi Shang to fork out the Holy Spirit Stones, directly paying the fees for the three of them. Then, the three of them went to a corner of the plaza to wait for the arrival of the mysterious yellow light. Night Sorrow wasn't worried about what would happen after entering, but he was a little nervous now. He was worried that the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth wouldn't give him a chance. He was afraid that the Xianhuang light would reject him because no one knew how the Xianhuang light judged whether one was qualified or not. Soon, everyone paid the Saint Spirit Stones and went to the square. At this time, Tang Jianfeng bowed to the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. As Tang Jianfeng bowed, the Heaven and Earth Pavilion reacted. An illusory energy vortex appeared in the surroundings. Then, a golden light appeared in the sky, enveloping the entire plaza and landing on everyone standing in the plaza. Night Sorrow discovered that this golden light was seeping into his body, enveloping his head and divine sea. Night Sorrow slowly felt the characteristics of the golden light. Because his body was Bufang's true body, the golden light did not seep into his body. At this moment, almost everyone was in a state of confusion, sitting cross-legged in meditation. Night Sorrow was still standing. After looking around, he also sat down cross-legged on the ground. He did not want to stand out. After sitting down cross-legged, the golden light did not invade Night Sorrow's body. This was the tyrannical power of not leaking true body. However, the golden light was getting stronger. The intensity of the golden light in the area where Night Sorrow was far greater than in other areas. This had already attracted the attention of some people, including Tang Jianfeng. Because Night Sorrow was his old friend's disciple, Tang Jianfeng had paid more attention to him from the beginning. He knew that Night Sorrow had not lost consciousness. Night Sorrow had sat down, but he did not close his eyes. He was still awake. In addition, the sky was filled with intense golden light. It was impossible for Tang Jianfeng not to notice. Night Sorrow did not feel anything. He did not feel that the golden light was harmful. He stopped circulating the energy in his body and stopped the operation of not leaking true body. At this moment, the golden light entered Night Sorrow's body and swam around. However, when the golden light reached Night Sorrow's divine sea, it started to spin. It did not invade directly. The periphery of Night Sorrow's divine sea was also surrounded by golden light. It could even be said that the golden light was even denser than the heaven and earth pavilions. It was the light of merit. After circling Night Sorrow's body twice, the golden light retreated. However, it left a ray of light on Night Sorrow's arm. The others were still checking. Some people had a ray of golden light on their arms, while others did not. Seeing this, Night Sorrow knew that he had passed. Those with golden light on their bodies should be marks. After 15 minutes, the checking was completed. Tang Jianfeng stood on the high platform of the square. Those with golden light marks can enter the Heaven and Earth Pavilion to take the trial. Those without marks are not qualified to enter. Please leave. If you enter rashly, you will be mercilessly killed. Night Sorrow turned his head and smiled at Tang Bo and Tang Yi, who also had marks on their bodies. All three of them were qualified to participate. The cultivators who had lost their qualifications were full of regret. However, they could only leave. If they dared to step into the Heaven and Earth Pavilion without being recognized, they would be killed. Who could resist? The Heaven and Earth Pavilion was the manifestation of the Black-Yellow Great World's will, and its will was the origin will of the Black-Yellow Great World. If the origin will of a great world could kill a Heaven Master, then killing a monarch was nothing. Leave, they could only leave. Although they had lost 100 Saint Spirit Stones, no one dared to go against the original will of the Black-Yellow Great World. At least, no one dared to do so in the Black-Yellow Great World. Then, the doors of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion opened. 2 doors that were hundreds of meters tall and wide opened. Inside the doors was a rich rolling energy. Behind the energy was an unknown world. Even those who had entered before did not know what it was because each time they entered, it was different. There were no clues to be found, and there was no experience to talk about. You can enter now. If you don't want to continue within 3 months, you can shout to leave. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion will send you out. If you don't come out after 3 months, then everything will depend on your own ability. Everything will be up to fate. Now you can enter, Tang Jianfeng said to all the participants. If it was a small passage, it would be troublesome for thousands of people to enter. However, the doors of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion were big enough. Therefore, it would not take too much time for everyone to enter. Night Sorrow looked at the people who entered. In an instant, they were wrapped in energy and disappeared before everyone's eyes. No one could see what was going on. Brother Yi, you can leave within 3 months. Remember to be careful. I will leave first. Tang Bo cupped his hands at Night Sorrow. Then his body flashed and he entered the rolling energy. The rolling energy was very terrifying. However, the golden light on the people who entered worked. It turned into a protective shield to block the attack of the terrifying energy. Night Sorrow estimated that the energy could definitely crush king and sovereign. In other words, without the protective golden light, no one could enter. Once they entered, they would be killed. Tang Yi nodded at Night Sorrow. Then, her body flashed and she also entered the rolling energy of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Night Sorrow held Samsara tightly behind him. Then, he stomped his feet and flew toward the door of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. The moment Night Sorrow's body approached the rolling energy, the golden light on his arm turned into a protective golden light and blocked the attack of the energy. The energy was biting cold and violent. If it was not for the protective golden light, Night Sorrow felt that he would not be able to withstand it. Because he had comprehended the space-time willpower, Night Sorrow felt that outside the protective golden light, space-time was constantly changing. The 10th update has arrived. Thank you to the Great Demon King and 4 for your support. Chapter 13:11. The space-time transition was like a teleportation array. After a while, the golden light that wrapped around Night Sorrow dissipated and turned back into a golden light that wrapped around Night Sorrow's arm. After Yi Shang steadied himself, he discovered that he was in a world with verdant hills and clear waters. However, Yi Shang didn't relax because everything was filled with unknowns. Who knew if some powerful opponent would suddenly appear? He could not be afraid, but he had to always be respectful of the unknown. Only when one was alive could one do things. Caution was one of the most important factors in life. Many geniuses had fallen because of recklessness and carelessness on their path. Yi Shang activated the 9-region origin pearl and began to investigate. His soul power was already comparable to a monarch's. With the help of the 9-region origin pearl, his probing ability should be above a monarch's and below a titan's. Night Sorrow had thought about refining the soul cultivation liquid, but he did not take the risk. His soul power could support his cultivation and use his secret techniques. After all, the energy in his body was still at the peak of the 7-star king level. If he was injured by the soul cultivation liquid, it would not be worth it. After activating his soul power, everything within 1,000 miles was within his probing range. No danger could escape his probing. During his probing, Night Sorrow flew forward. He had not come to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion to sightsee. He had come to find Ming Dao. In a low-level space, the possibility of Ming Dao's existence was lower, but there were other natural treasures. No one knew the exact situation inside the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, but the general layout was clear. Night Sorrow knew that when he first entered, it was a low-level world. The first level was filled with countless low-level small spaces. They could not even be called worlds. Only when certain conditions were met would one enter the next level. This condition was hard to say. It could be a spatial tunnel or a teleportation tunnel. It could also be that there were only a certain number of people left in and out of the space, such as half or even less. After advancing for half a day, Night Sorrow did not find any opponents. He had collected some materials, but they were all low level. The scenery in this space was good, but the energy was not dense enough. It could not nurture high-level natural treasures. The time inside the Heaven and Earth Pavilion was the same as outside. When evening came, the sky darkened. Night Sorrow took out his animal skin tent and planned to rest. Night Sorrow knew that entering the Heaven and Earth Pavilion was not something that could be done in a day or two. He had to settle down and take it one step at a time. Night Sorrow had just finished setting up his tent when 2 cultivators entered Night Sorrow's probing range. 2 7-star king. It was already too late for Night Sorrow to dodge. The opponent's flying speed was extremely fast, and the gap between their detect was useless. In other words, the opponent's flying speed instantly surpassed the distance that Night Sorrow could detect. Yi Shuang waited to see what the two of them were up to. If they were just passing by, then they would mind their own business. But if they wanted to kill, he really didn't care about 2 7-star sovereign kings. Moments later, the 2 7-star sovereigns arrived near Yi Shan. "Hand over your storage rings, leave your weapons, and get lost," the man with the heavy sword on his back growled at Night Sorrow. "We're all here to look for opportunities. There's no need to be so aggressive. There's no enmity between us," said Yi Shang. He didn't want to kill more people if he could. "Why are you talking so much nonsense? Pay to avoid disaster or die. Make your choice." The other man drew his battle sword. "I didn't want to kill, but you are courting death." Dang! Night Sorrow's energy surged. His doppelganger appeared. It was the man who spoke after the death-destruction slash. While the doppelganger attacked, Night Sorrow used the Great Emperor Samsara slash to attack the other person. He did not want to waste time probing. He had to maintain his peak condition here. Unnecessary consumption was to be avoided. As the black and purple halos rippled, the two seven-star king were enveloped. They lost the ability to resist and dodge. One man and one woman. The two unlucky fellows fell. They were bleeding. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. I didn't want to kill, but you are courting death. Night Sorrow's doppelganger merged with his original body. He took the two storage rings and weapons. Then, he took the tent and moved to another place. Night Sorrow started to set up camp in another place. After making a pot of tea, Night Sorrow pondered. He knew that he was not the only one in this space. There were others. As for why there were companions, he knew it was not strange. Many cultivators in the black-yellow great world knew each other. It was normal to have friends. Maybe it was a personal friendship. Maybe it was an alliance between sections. Maybe it was a loose cultivator who was afraid of the core disciples of big sects and was willing to follow behind them. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow continued his exploration. With the will of time and space, Night Sorrow's flying speed was very fast. He did not cause too much energy fluctuation. As Night Sorrow's flying speed was fast, his exploration efficiency was high. If there were materials for alchemy and refining, Night Sorrow would collect them. On the afternoon of the second day, Night Sorrow faced another battle. It was also a seven-star king. Night Sorrow did not evade. He still walked his own path. Night Sorrow did not fight, but it did not mean that others would not fight. This seven-star king started to chase after Night Sorrow. He was very fast. Night Sorrow could not get rid of him even if he did not speed up. Exhaling, Night Sorrow stopped. He turned around and looked at the cultivator who had caught up with him. "Do you have to fight?" The black-robed man did not say anything. He attacked with his sword. In his eyes, Night Sorrow was just a lucky cultivator who had a high cultivation level at a young age. Most people had high cultivation levels but low abilities and poor fighting strength. Seeing this man attack, Night Sorrow was a little angry. He did not want to fight, but the other party thought that he was easy to bully. "Then you can die." Yi Shang waved his hand and directly used the Void Extreme Kill. Following the explosion of the purple halo, half of the man's sword was instantly annihilated. His body was also blasted back. The will of time and space burst forth. Night Sorrow charged forward and followed up with Heavenly Wasteland Kill. Void Extreme Kill and Heavenly Wasteland Kill were mystic skills. Although they were not absolute arts, they were still very powerful. The main reason was that Night Sorrow's mystic skills were based on the highest and highest attributes. They were not something that ordinary people could block. Time was affected. The black-robed man's block was half a beat slower. Night Sorrow's Samsara directly attacked the man's chest. Following the burst of energy from Samsara, the black-robed man's life force was taken away by Night Sorrow's time acceleration. At the same time, Samsara also released purple energy that rushed into his spirit sea. The Samsara stone was a strange stone in the world. It had a mysterious energy that could attack the soul. While the man was in a daze, Night Sorrow's Samsara shook and attacked the man's spirit sea. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.